Good morning, Sussex Squad. Good morning. Oh my God. Wow, wow. What a week, Sussex Squad, we just had. I cannot believe this. I cannot believe we able to have a show today, even though we tell everyone that we are going to be in at 12, I guess. I mean,
In fairness, it said 12-ish.
12-ish. Oh my God. Sussex Squad Nation, Sussex Squad World. Wow. Charles and George, how are you guys doing? How's everyone doing on the chat? Because obviously I cannot see anyone. I don't have a screen. You guys do. I am so unprepared. I am not prepared at all. So,
Well, yeah, I mean, first of all, let's make sure everybody can hear us. I see Lydia Washington in the chat and a Susie Q.
hi Lydia. Hi Susie Q.
Good morning. Is everyone?
Good morning.
Are we
Can
coming-
everyone hear us? And also, especially that, we all have masks here because we try to make sure actually they try to keep me safe because all week running around the UN and where else you guys was at? Everywhere, basically. So thank you for that. Can you guys breathe?
Yeah, I can breathe. Just want to make sure that It says we're having some bit rate issues. I don't know if our network's acting funny today. So everybody in the chat, please keep us honest. Let us know if there's anything ever going in or out.
Should we start all over again?
No. We're good. We're good. Folks are just saying hello as they usually do. So,
Wonderful.
good morning, everyone. Good morning. Good morning.
It's been such a long week that even the internet is tired.
It's so true. It is so true.
Wonderful. And Susie says, yes, she can hear us. So thank you, Susie. And thank you. Good morning, everyone. Lydia, Karen M. More people coming in. It's wonderful to see you all on this Sunday. Although, honestly, it has been such a blur. And, in terms of being oriented, in terms of where we even are in the week, I do not know. I couldn't tell you that it's Sunday unless you told me. So
You guys are stars. My goodness. You guys are rock stars. I mean, it was like, I got really, really emotional watching and seeing you guys and front and center at the UN, being one of the group of the leaders that was called the leaders of the future to represent. I just could not believe this. I could not believe my eyes. I could not believe that I was seeing what I was seeing, that you guys was taking part, center stage.
yeah, it was a truly humbling experience being in throughout all of the time there, each of those different rooms where so much history. The leaders that have built the future that we are in today, from across the world, have gathered and shared some of the most inspiring speeches and just the decisions they made to be
I
all
think
there.
I think your mask
Yeah, by
is
the way,
so long.
your duck mask is
Your
hitting
duck
the mic.
mask is
Like-
hitting the mic.
well,
So you probably want. Do you want another mask?
yeah, I switched in the mask.
I don't
Okay,
think-
but yeah, just
I think
out.
you're off so far away from me. I think it's okay. I think it's like about 6 foot.
Yeah.
What? I don't think you need the mask. I think you should be okay.
Okay. Well,
We are so far away from each other. I think it's fine.
I miss my duck mask though.
we can put it on after we finish. But
That's right.
hello, Connie Bomber. It's good to see you.
Connie! Oh my
Ingrid,
God.
hello.
Connie.
Good to hear from you. Good to see everyone. And as to continue on what George was saying, it was indeed an honor to be at the UN. It was quite overwhelming to be kind of in the, just to be in the same hallway as so much history has transpired through the years. And then also just to be part of the delegation that more or less got to take part in what was really a monumental and historic, kind of pact for the future is what they were basically drawing up, and being part of that process in terms of being able to decide and discuss what are we going to be looking at, and then what are really going to take priorities, and how do we need to address things that are going to impact our globe, as we move forward, really. So they had quite a few tracks kind of moving forward in terms of things they wanted to really focus on. One was basically sustainability. The other basically was going on in AI and digital, like what's going to be the digital future. So it was all it was just fascinating and really, really interesting. But also the conversations that were being had were also, one, very uplifting, and then also very inclusive. So, we tend to have a viewpoint of, okay, well, look, here's the West discussing kind of what's happening here. But there's a lot more people in the planet than just what's going to happening in our backyard. So it's really nice to hear different perspectives from across the world, and then meet those leaders who are making those things happen. And then also hear kind of, what we can do better, how we can improve, and then how we can support everyone as really, we should.
I think what was really incredible, it's for me anyway, to know that, you guys were chosen because, I mean, you have to be invited. Not everyone get invited to the UN. I mean, there's leaders, there is people that never get to go to, to the UN, and then to basically being one of the few people that, they choose and believes in things that, what, okay, you guys are responsible for our future. It was incredible. And then to be there, the same place with the person that will have inspired all this in that week.
Yeah.
How sweet was that?
It was incredible. It really was. I mean, it is. We just got actually wrapped up formally with all of the things that were scheduled at the very end of last night, and so there is so much.
That's right, because you guys was really, really was on all the way last night, and the UN. I think tomorrow is the last day, correct?
Yeah.
But to see you guys rubbing shoulders with, sort of ex-president, like the president of Ireland, I think.
Yep.
You guys was in, and the prime minister of. Oh my God, Barbados
Yeah,
and Jamaica.
Yep.
Sort of, it was really, really, really incredible. What a speech that she gave.
Oh my gosh,
She bought the house.
Yes. She brought the house down. She had the whole room standing. It brought literal tears to the eye because it was just incredible.
And she did the same thing in Paris, I believe was 2 weeks prior. That this woman, I mean, she's going places. She was really, really, really incredible. There were so many amazing speakers. And I mean, I cannot believe the seat you guys had in all the different rooms, like literally. I mean, to see that, the prime ministers and the people that was around you guys, it was insane. Is that them?
It was humbling. It really was. It was such a privilege, and as Charles was just saying, there's in a sort of an electrifying inspiration that comes from being in that room, being in that space, being with all these leaders that really are trying to come together, to work together, to make the world a better place, and to have people like Prince Harry, who really are those leaders that are on the front lines, that are doing that hard work and uniting people to be in that same space. It's just. It was incredible.
I just felt like the whole week, like watching what was going on, because obviously you guys was keeping me update of everything what was happening.
As best you could, anyway.
Yeah, as best as you guys can. Anyway, it's almost built up to the masterpiece that speech Harry delivered. It feels like, there was a build up to what maybe many people didn't know that was going to happen, but we do, that, to see Harry there and just moving around that space and to deliver the speech that he delivered, it was incredible.
Yeah, one of the things that really came through clearly throughout the week at all of a lot of the General Assembly sessions and even some of the side events that are bringing those same people to meet with other foundations and work, many of the places where Harry gave additional speeches as well, is just how interconnected all of the challenges and dynamics that we face today as a global society, how they really all are. You can't just talk about, climate change or environmental aspects without talking about social dynamics, new technologies that are being developed, how you move money around the world and how you finance. All of these things are fully interconnected. And one of the things that is brilliant in terms of Harry's work in and of itself, but also how he was able to convey it over this past week, was the fact that he is actually touching on each of those different areas and the fact that they are interconnected. And to your point, the way that the week even just kicked off with the summit for the first ever summit for the future, focused on that interconnection between sustainability, new technology, peace and security, how all these things work together, and what do we need to do to get there. And it really was almost a creation of a platform for Harry to then knock it out of the park, which he absolutely did.
What was the security? It was like, I know it was really tight and the medias was out. Like, I'm at one point I was looking at, Charles, you too. It's almost like you had a mic, almost like you have a mic in your, almost like your ears. The camera was like everywhere. I was like, what the heck? There was so many. Like, I'm assuming that you couldn't say anything in there. That way, it would not go places. Like, what was that like?
No, it was. First of all, that's before you even get into the building. There's a serious background check. So just to be able to get in there and even have the privilege of perhaps being able to go in, you have to make sure you have
give your guys' passport.
Yeah. They have to like go in and do in fairly great detail in terms of what your background is and kind of make sure you are who you say you are. Mm-hmm. And then before you even get on the right side of the block, before you get into the building, you have to go to a different building.
Right.
To where they actually go through and then they verify and validate that, okay, well, you are actually who registered and basically, who actually asked for the background.
That they are invited.
Yeah. So exactly. And then through that, you have to go through more metal detectors and this and then that and the other things. So it was really interesting.
Yeah. To be honest, there's to what you said, Lady Sussex. There's a lot that you can't even. Definitely, I think the term has been out there and it's accurate. There was an appropriate level of security, especially with people like Prince Harry being there. So it was
the way they get him to move from one place to the next was genius. It was just like, okay, New York got this going. But it was almost like I feel like everyone that was there, the way they moved everybody around was superb.
Yeah, it was.
Oh, that building.
That, because to be honest, I was a little bit scared for you guys, to be honest, and you guys are not even, the whatever you call it, but it was really good.
Yeah, there's a lot of time that is going to need to be spent processing everything that just happened with the UN and everything that transpired over this past week, because there was a lot. It really was, and it really came through also that we are at an inflection point. It's one of those watershed moments where the course of history is going to change based on the decisions that were made today and throughout this past week.
And you guys did a brilliant and wonderful job. Like social media, you guys was everywhere in social media with really massive massive people, pretty much all over the world, in some aspect, with these organizations. It was incredible. People need to see those pictures. I know there's a lot of pictures in social media, but you guys need to have put those pictures in IG to share with the Sussex ones.
The thing is, we have a number of different places, and that's part of the mission of the initiative we launched, Planet First Action, which is about highlighting those leaders who are on the front lines and really helping tell their story so more know about the good work they're doing. But in terms of being able to really share out all of the pictures and everything, it's that we don't have enough followers yet, especially on our Instagram.
Well, I think that's going to change, very, very soon. That can change really right now with everybody. How many people do we have in the chat right now?
We have 65.
Oh, well, let's just ask those 65 people right now, guys. Help us. So because I want to see all those pictures. So let's send the 65 people right now to follow you guys on IG. What is the IG link? Do you want to put that?
Yeah, we'll put that in
now. Let's see what happened, because I want you guys to at least post one pictures in for the rest of the day to start putting those pictures, because this is incredible. This is something we, the Sussex, need to be proud of. We need to be able to know that we have one of our own that was in the room. You know what I mean? It's something that, I'm proud of, and I know they will be proud of. I don't know if they had seen some of you guys tweet, and some of, I tweet them. Actually, I tweet, I don't know if anybody went to the tweet, but anyway, I tried to do the best that I could just to get you guys out, but you guys was everywhere. So they need to go to IG now. Can you please, guys?
Yes.
Are they going? Let us know. Give us a thumbs up if you just gone to IG, and give them a follow, because we need to see those pictures, because it is incredible.
Yes,
Is it on the top of the chat?
It is in the chat. It is I don't know if it's pinned, but it is in there. But while talking about the chat, just want to share a few highlights. The first of which is that we have Church Nelly has crossed the 1 month line as a member
Oh my
of
goodness.
the channel. So hi Church Nelly,
my
it's
God.
wonderful to
Hi,
see you.
Church
Thank you for
Nelly.
the membership and everything.
Oh my God. I know your boys, you guys make them really proud. I mean, that's all. At one point, I was thinking about sending you guys a text and just say, can you just write Sussex Squad Forever and then put it on the camera? I'm like, wow, I don't know. That might cause a lot of problem. So, but I was thinking about it. I literally was thinking about it. I wanted you guys to have some sign. Oh my God, that was really, really bad.
Yeah.
So, wow, should we start things going? And please let me know when people start going into the IG, because it is important that, we seeing those pictures, they seeing the pictures.
Yes, we'll keep an eye on that, and we do have the conversation. And to what you've shared, what we're going to talk about today, it seems like throughout the service is really building from what's happened this past week, especially with Prince Harry's leadership. So excited to definitely talk about.
And there's one more day. Who's on tomorrow at the UN? One more day left, right?
There is one more day left. And in looking for what actually is the last event there, I think they're just wrapping up some of the sessions that they have.
Yeah.
So I think most
because last night you guys was in a different area, and that was what was the thing that you guys did yesterday?
Marketplace of the Future
Marketplaces
is what
of the
is one of the things that we were doing before
and
we
then
actually.
there was a Chinese or Japanese, I don't know.
No, there was actually a nonprofit that's focused on international cooperation. So it was focused in that particular one was focused on building bridges between China and the U.S. through collaboration on addressing things like the climate crisis as a way to then foster even greater partnership between the countries. Sort of a track two diplomacy kind of a approach.
Yeah, I saw the pictures. Were so really cool. Your hair looked nice.
You are too much.
Because at one point there was picture that I saw. I remember I tell you what happened to your hair.
Got chopped off.
It got chopped off. No, it was a good haircut. Good haircut. But thank you. So, my goodness, we're not gonna have a marathon today, are we?
I don't know. We'll have to see.
Because you know why we are here. Because I don't think I was gonna have a service. I wanted to give you guys a break. But
it's true. We couldn't
boss,
say no. Yeah, we couldn't say no to the
the
boss.
king. We're talking about
the
Baron.
The Baron.
It's like if Lady Sussex is listening, I hope you guys have like a Sunday service, because I'm looking forward to it. And I'm like, yes, I'm listening. And I called you guys right away. I'm like, well, I guess we're gonna have a show today, even though I know you guys are so tired and exhausted.
No, but it's also one of those things where there's physical tiredness, but also just an emotional energy and a spiritual energy from everything that happened this past week, and really the change that's in the air. So we're excited to be talking about this stuff already.
Oh my God! Well, thank you for being here. Thank you for all the work you guys do. Thank you for proving, what the Sussex what we know is that what Harry was going to be the leader that this generation, one of the leaders this generation is looking for. So thank you for being a part of history.
I will just say though, my feet still hurt.
Yeah.
Just throw that out there. Did a lot of walking.
I hope you guys had good shoes.
Yeah, the shoes were fine. It's just, they could only take so much. There's definitely a point to where you're like, they just need to.
Well, before we go to, Church and Alley report, I have a question to ask you guys. I saw the picture because before I was seeing a lot of pictures from the different rooms that you guys were in at the UN. Until then, when I saw you guys in the big room, the presidential room, where all
the
General Assembly. How was that? How was that room? How is that situated?
Massive. It is massive.
It doesn't look that big on camera. I mean,
every single desk basically had a digital display. Every single desk basically had a digital display of who was actually sitting where, So people knew who they were addressing, of who was actually sitting where. So people knew who they were addressing, and they could basically rotate and change as needed.
Right.
Every single seat had a mic,
Yeah.
so they could basically interact with anyone else,
Yeah.
which is a lot of coordination because there's literally over 300 desks alone just sitting there.
And also mic too that you can.
And then everyone has a headset. Everybody has a translation headset, so they
Mm-hmm.
all go there. And the room is surrounded on all sides with various interpreters, so they have real-time interpretation. And so you can look and see which.
Oh, so that's what behind the glasses there's a glass panel.
Yeah,
you
all
know,
the way around on the peripheral,
around, yeah.
and then you
Mhm.
get to see, and then depending on who's actually in, because they know ahead of time who's going to be speaking, and then they'll put that particular
Yeah.
translator in the booth, and so they'll put that particular
Yeah.
translator in the booth, and so you can have everyone from like Arabic to French to Spanish to whatever, and you'll see basically, and as they go in, they'll light up, and so you can see around the edge which of the actual languages are being covered that day. And then there's channels you can choose from on your desk that go to your headphones to make sure you're getting the right translation.
Oh wow, that is so cool.
So there's just a lot of technical know-how kind of throughout, but also like every seat actually has at least one more seat behind it. That way everyone gets an aid to make sure that they actually are being taken care of and everybody's basically kept on task.
Really?
So you get a seat in the front and a seat in the back. So the room itself basically holds over almost 600 people.
600 people. That room doesn't look that big.
Yeah, its seating occupancy was almost 600.
It is. And I'm going to interject, though, because there is, like we said, it's been a long week and the internet is also feeling the effects of it. And so there's connections going in and out. So what we're going to do, knowing that it's kind of being a little bit choppy for those of you listening in, we're going to try to switch the network. So there may be a slight pause. And yes, Connie, it's not you. The audio is not good. So there might be a slight pause, but we should be... Okay, so let's see. It says excellent connection, so we'll see if that is better. If in the chat, just let us know if there is any continued issues, but hopefully that fixed the problem.
I don't know how much you guys already heard, but I was talking to Charles regarding the room, the assembly room, right? That's what you call that room?
Yeah.
And it's where most of all the presidents, all the dictators, they make their speech. And so that room, for me, I thought it was a small room, but you're talking about like this room can hold 600 people.
Yep, just short of 600. So yeah,
That is incredible.
Yeah, it's truly impressive, and it's impressive not only just from its size and capacity, but also just for how well appointed, and then also a technology perspective, and then also just a presence, because it truly is. Because not only is it just kind of big, but it's also very tall.
Is it?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's very tall. It has kind of amphitheater seating as you kind of go up and back. But it's just overall, it's just tremendously an impressive place to be. And then also fairly comfortable because just the way that it's organized, whoever designed it did a fantastic job.
But what does that must feel like walking in that room, sort of thinking about all those who come before you, all those big leaders, the president, like people like Nelson Mandela, sort of there's so many incredible people that have walked that room, including kings and queen. Prince Harry gave a speech in that room, with the Nelson Mandela, project. So it was like, what was that feel like being in that particularly room?
It's funny because you walk in and you are immediately confronted with this idea that this is not a space like any other. It's almost like the gravity is different, the air is different, and it is a not somber, but it's a sobering experience walking in and seeing the room as it is, as Charles was just describing, the architecture itself and the design itself, what that commands in terms of your attention, the respect that you pay, and then couple that with the amazing history and everything that has transpired there. It brings the weight and the sort of the symbolism of that into every moment, into every additional speech that is given. So it really was an absolutely incredible experience.
The thing is, one of the thing is, even outside looking it in, and looking at the people, like all these people are incredibly smart folks, right? And you see the youth, you see the young leaders, leaders like you guys that, coming in now. Now you are sitting in a room where, everybody is incredibly smart. So it's not like there was, I mean, what was that like?
No, it's
Sort
just
of to even have a conversation with someone
no,
that that
it's all
was
very focused, right?
intellectually sort of savvy and smart and worldly, and it just
Well, that's the thing that we've known to be true, is that one of the most important things to do is to surround yourself with people that are smarter than you and people who have done even more than you, because there is so much that you can learn. And so that was another just privilege of like being in that kind of room where there are so many people who have done so much, who are so well read, well researched, who are the ones who are creating the new research, and who are leading new nations, frankly. Then that, I mean, to be in the same room and to be able to just go and talk and communicate and say, how are we going to move things forward with those people that, like, wow, there's so much you can learn, even that alone.
the sense that I got, again, I guess is what I was trying to articulate earlier. It's almost, I feel like all these leaders that have been in the front line try to bring justice, try to make the world a better place and change. It's almost like I feel like they were passing the torch to the new leaders coming up. Leaders like Harry, yourself, you guys, and everybody else that was coming up. Like it, I feel like that's what I was seeing. Is like passing the torch or training you guys to be the leader of tomorrow.
Yeah, it was probably more of the latter. I would say that it was very much an explicit purpose of even the entire event to bring in more youth-oriented and youth leaders into the fray. Because if they're at the end of the day, and this comes from the Secretary General himself, saying that it is our future. Like if we don't have a stake or a say in it, then how could it be ours?
That's right.
So they wanted to bring actually that delegation, the youth delegation, into the proceedings and actually have real cooperation and collaboration, not just as basically a token. In terms of, okay, well, here's this young person, and then that's all great, but actually have them participate, like actively participate, which was great.
Wow, it was incredible. Well, let's move on. Let's get in because this feels like it's going to be a marathon again because we have so much we need to cover. So, Church and Alley report. Let's move on to Church and Alley.
Let's do it. Yes, there is a lot happening, and just as much as we were busy, I think Prince Harry was even busier. He was running around like crazy all over New York last week. And then really he was also just as busy, if not more busy, being all over media.
That's right.
So he got picked up so much from everywhere. So he attended, as we basically said, kind of the New York Climate Week and obviously the General Assembly that we were going through with the UN. He was actually on Jimmy Fallon's, that haunted maze thing where he was.
That was so cute.
Yep. And then also, apparently, which I find really distasteful, but at the same time, it's kind of funny. The British media is somehow using all of his celebrity and profile, the height of his profile during the course of this week, to somehow plug Boris Johnson's new book. Which was just
I don't know if it's the media who did that for Boris Johnson.
Well, no, it was being
his
picked up.
book to sell and find a way to.
No, but it wasn't him on the tube. It was actually these ridiculous people, the commentators, getting up and just somehow inserting it in places that it didn't even really belong.
Right.
But the whole thing was just so strange, because the book where they were trying to insert it was basically saying that Harry's all over the place and he's doing this great work, but they can't really say that he's not doing good work because it's clearly evident that he is doing good work. So they tried to pivot it to Boris Johnson, and then they were saying, okay, well, look, what Boris Johnson and how that has to relate to Harry is he once had a conversation about trying to get him to stay in Britain.
Right.
And that is somehow the connection. And then according to the reports, apparently he tried to appeal to Harry's sense of manhood.
What?
Which was
what
weird.
What was that about?
The whole thing was
Who
strange.
went to the army?
Yeah. And then, that is a really good point, too. But that what they were saying is that he shouldn't let his wife tell him what to do. Which is, that in and of itself is just like, okay, well, look, that's just kind of a pathetic way to look at things. But also he was telling Harry to ignore what his wife, what her needs were when she was at one of the lowest points of her life, and try to act like it's not happening and try and put her in her place. And it's truly revealing as to what kind of character this guy Boris is. And that certainly even more so when you start using it, that's actually the selling point in the PR push that he's using to sell his book. He thinks that's some sort of virtue in terms of that's actually what, that's the right thing to do, is for him to kind of like push that particular kind of narrative out there, which I think is just kind of crazy. And he was also telling that he actually got directed to do so from the royal family, which, as anyone knows, like those two things should not cross. There should not have been a point where the royal family actually is trying to get involved with government for its own agenda. So that also is quite telling that, okay, we'll do as we say, not as we do. So that's kind of strange. So that was the one thing. And then there's another thing that actually I know we're going to talk about quite a little bit later on, but that Vanity Fair actually had a really nice and large article about Harry and really confirming what it is that we all knew. And that was his kind of transition away from this working royal, which actually he's probably one of the few royals that is actually really working, and into more of this kind of global advocate. And they say now this transition between the two is now complete. And that's kind of even the headline that they've kind of raised up, which is just, one, it's just good to know that he's getting that kind of recognition from such a venerable publication. But it's great. It kind of just solidifies and really credits kind of everyone here who already knew what was happening. But they mentioned, Harry, that he packed in at least 7 events in the past 72 hours and spoke to a handful of his charities like Travelist, Santa Bale, the Diana Awards, and also gave prepared remarks at most of those events. And they said that those remarks actually showed how adept he is of actually being able to switch gears from a wide range of subjects. Everything from like youth empowerment and then all of a sudden to like minefields in Africa and Angola, and then all of a sudden back over to like climate impacts and climate change, and then going on back over to like, what's happening with the HIV and AIDS crisis in Southern Africa. And he just did such a phenomenal job being able to navigate and bebop around these issues and actually speak very well about these kind of issues that he is surely much harder working as a non-working royal than the actual quote unquote working royals are.
This is the person that they were trying to tell us that, how he wasn't smart, he didn't do well in school, that he was so stupid. He's, he's basically letting, Meghan just, I mean, there was so much they tried to make this man as though that, he was not a smart guy. But I guess now they will shut up.
Maybe.
Maybe.
Yeah, maybe. So, but at the end of the article, they kind of summarize the whole thing by saying that he's doing such a fantastic job, and he's really using his platform to talk about the issues that we actually really should be talking about as a society. So, again, that just goes back into this idea that he is now kind of this global statesman.
He is global. He was that before they make that announcement. This is something that, we know. This is something we, the Sussex World, have been saying, and they finally sort of, realizing that, this is it. Yeah.
Yeah, no, they
I mean, we knew that.
Correct. We absolutely did know that. So that was the one thing. So that was a great thing, and that it just kind of summarizes quite well kind of everything he got up to over the past week. But I also found it really interesting that he got, not only did he get kind of, appreciated for all the work that he did, but also the way in which he goes about doing some of the work. So it also mentioned during the past week that there was a professor named Professor Matthew Kernan who is the CEO and a director of NURA, which is basically, it's all about how do you actually look at and help with like mental issues, saying that his approach to changing the term mental health to mental fitness and is actually trying to shift how we actually think about mental health as a well-being, and its well-being. And basically it turns that it instead of actually mental health is almost like a condition you have, into mental fitness, which is something you can actually work on for yourself. And the way that he positioned it, he thought was a really great way, because it's actually a good way to actually empower people to actually help manage their mental situation themselves, and speak and actually help address some of the change without necessarily thinking it's some sort of like you have to rely on medicine or something else, or it's something outside of your control. So he really appreciated Harry's particular comments and sensibility around that and his
I
perspective.
mean, this is when it comes to mental health issues, as someone that have had and still dealing with a lot of mental health issues, it is very important. It's been long away to have someone that was able to speak about it, and knowing that what we all in some aspect of life have been affected by mental health issues. Some are bigger than others, and some are like a lot. And we have lost so many people through mental health issues, and to have a leader, to have someone willing to talk about it, in the way Harry and Meghan have been able to do so. It is incredible. It is incredible because it's now no longer taboo, no longer that, let's hide it, let's not talk about it, But now, yes, why not? Let's talk about it. It's okay not to be okay. And it's okay to be able to say, no, today I'm not, this is how I'm feeling. And to have this generation that who's been looking for someone when you looked at our generation, you look at this generation, the Gen Zs now, is that we have been able to speak about mental health in a way that, it was never, before, no one has been able to do that the way we managed to do this.
Right. It's much more
and
acceptance.
And make it part of well-being.
Yeah, a natural conversation.
It's interesting though, and it goes, I think, to the point of the way you've approached this service in the beginning, Lady Sussex, is the power of words.
That's right.
And the change of what Prince Harry is advocating for with his work of saying, look, not only is this something that should be more acceptable and talked about in the mainstream and something that we can just collectively support each other on and much more, but the fact is we need the words to be able to do that. And right now when we say mental health, frequently we most often mean mental ill health. And we need to be able to talk about the fact that there are times where mental health is not good. There are times when mental health is in a better place. There is the difference in the distinction because of all of the baggage that comes with the word mental health right now, that term, his point of maybe focusing more on mental fitness, to everything that Charles just explained. Like, we need to increase the vocabulary of the words that we're using to talk about these subjects, because there is nuance. It is not a black and white thing. And that's part of the problem that we've addressed historically, is we've kind of not given it enough attention and enough appreciation in terms of how it really exists in our lives. And so that even just the fact that he is advocating for a new word that we can use to talk about these issues is something that can be truly impactful.
And I actually think what was brilliant, that he's done in the Clinton global initiative is that, is try to keep people accountable for being a part of what is happening. Do you understand what I mean? Whether it's social media and whether it's in the media itself, what part they play, of us feeling the way we do.
Right. That's absolutely right.
And that's exactly what a leader is supposed to do. It's not being afraid to call it out. And he did. And it was so brilliant.
Right. So yeah. So first of all, just wanted to quickly, and I know that George will get around to it, but I just want to say hello to Black Queen. She's out there. She's decided to join us this morning. So thank you so much.
Thank you, Black
Always
Queen.
Great to be there. Sylvia Feeder's there. You have Iona. So there's just tons who are coming in. So just wanted to give a quick shout out to those. We'll also go back because getting back into Church and Alley Report, Harry also basically has just got out that he'll be traveling back to Africa for Sentabale next month. And so everybody's now wondering if Meghan's going to go with him as well. So that's kind of the next thing that's hot to trot in general H&M news. And then something else that I find really, really interesting, and I'm very happy that it's happened, is that Us Weekly, that's terrible. Us Weekly just came out with a big article, right? So they just came out and actually had Meghan as the cover story of a magazine, and even the publisher themselves didn't think that it would actually happen so quickly. Mm-hmm. And the reason for it is because there's such a juicy article that just came out, or juicy news that just came out, because Harry and Meghan's former staffers have finally started speaking out about all the lies that's been running around, saying that they're horrible to work for. So they wanted to, get on record and say that this is false. This is just literally disinformation going out there, and perhaps by either one made up entirely, or perhaps by one or two, disaffected people, and is not really the story that everyone kind of claims it to be. So it was really interesting because, one, it wasn't just like, okay, here's a tweet about it. It was literally the cover story. So there was a full-blown, in-depth article about what's actually going on, and it actually listed names. It wasn't like some source or I heard from my sister's best friend's dog. It was literally like coming from the horse's mouth of, this is my experience working for them. And so they were talking about how gracious they were with their time, how gracious they were with their money, how gracious they were with really even just welcoming them into their home as a matter of basically what it was to work for them. And then they also went on record really saying that, of course, like everyone is aware that all these other papers have to sell their product. That's why everyone's kind of going out there and saying that. But it's just not right. And they wanted to stand up and stand for Harry and Meghan to make sure that people actually knew what they're talking about, and then really who these people are, what they say they are. And that really they found it quite ironic that the same papers that are now coming out with this new news, because Harry and Meghan now has like something there's new to say, right? This juicy kind of inside scoop, which is what they live on. But this inside scoop is the fact that they're so great, that they're wonderful to work for. But the week prior, these same papers were saying the exact opposite, and how complete lack of integrity and morals these, UK tabloids must have, being able to just go back and forth on these kinds of topics. They just said that.
This is what I will say. I think we're going to look back in time and ask ourselves, when did all change? And I will say that, all these changes when this article, come out.
The Hollywood Reporter?
Yeah, because what happened is, you would have think that somebody set the Royals up, but I think they set themselves up. Who gave that permission? Who sort of, come in the neck of the hood where Harry and Meghan is to actually have a paper like this to point out some bit and pieces of article or things that they have been unsuccessfully try to say months, years ago, and now they put it all together and said, okay, we're going to put it into Hollywood Reporter because of the name Hollywood and what this stands for. And so hopefully we'll finally get them. We will finally find something on them, because now it's not coming from the media. This is Hollywood. This is New York. They're the one that were saying these things. And I don't think they were prepared for the backlash, for the response that causing, really, regardless how you guys may look at them now and thinking that they are not feeling it, they are feeling it. I can tell you the fact that, the stuff come out and actually speak on record, something that has not done God knows how long, and certainly not from the royals, because it's always, what do they like to use? Sources or whatever else that, they use. There's never been a name. Now, Harry is in, the people around Harry and Meghan that who works with them are coming out, putting on their name, taking on the risk and say, no, we're going to now we need you to do the same. Let's see because now it's going to be a problem for the royals now. And for the medias, every time they're coming at us with sources, show us who those sources are. Show us who's talking to you. And it's a problem for the Hollywood, newspaper that will take on this, and probably I'm sure there's going to be a backlash from Hollywood, because now, are you guys now should we considering you a tabloid? Why did you print something like that? And I wouldn't be surprised that if they turn against whoever or call out the person that will print this just so they can have face. Try to wash their hand from it. Yeah. Because it was a bad job. This is something that changed really everything. And we see what happened. And it had to happen in the week that we had that brilliance speech from Harry.
Yeah, talking about the online
It's
hate
like
and
it could
everything.
not have been better time. Every time they try. And we all knew why that bad job was. It was because they wanted to hide, not talking about what was being reported in the news about the, 500, whatever, how many, pound that is being spent in all these, sort of backlash that some of the royals was getting. And they were trying to change the story, but they didn't want to come with something in England. So they tried to, sort of push things here and see if it will stick.
Yeah.
And it was the biggest, I think it was the biggest mistakes that they have made.
Well, to that actually, there's one last thing I have for Church Nelly that I think wraps this up quite well.
Well, just before you do, just because I think they're actually the in the chat, they are agreeing with that idea. And Jadida and Jeru, and I apologize if I did not say that right, agreed with that idea that what just happened and the truth one will set you free, but it is a new era.
It is.
And Church Nelly adding that the Unroyals really should be focusing on the British people,
That's right.
not
That's
on
right.
Hollywood. And
That's right.
That is absolutely right. And
That's
there's
right.
also something from the chat that I wanted to point out, which Majesty Sussex Report said, and he just brought up the point that on this Sunday, actually, the Times published more nonsense about these bullying allegations, and of course, they didn't name their sources either. So to that end, basically, it just supports everything we're saying. But that actually is coming from a fairly reputable. It's not a tabloid. The Times is not a tabloid. But at the same point, and to kind of tie this back off about how good of a job that they both, by the way, are doing, because there's starting to be a little bit of change in the air. There's starting to be a little bit of change. There was a writer who has written about Camilla forever. Apparently, she grew up with Camilla since she was like 18 years old. So she's at the Telegraph, again, a big paper, not a rag, not a tabloid, saying that maybe it's...
Well, I don't think the squad will say that. Telegraph have put some really
no,
hot job,
it's a
and it
different
was supposed to
thing.
be.
It's a different thing in terms of saying that they're a newspaper versus a tabloid. It's just simply a media, not necessarily the fact that they don't have bad reporting. It's just that they actually are not like
To me,
they're
if
not
you're
as
reporting
salacious.
untrue, if you're reporting a lot of things that you shouldn't be, it should not be your business as be report about sort of what's happening in the world. Let us know what is going on. If you're reporting about two people which and you should know and do your work as newspaper that is untrue, then we have the right to call you and categorize you as tabloid.
Well, it's bad reporting. Anyway, my point being, this lady says that basically now is the time to bring Harry home. She's saying that he's doing such a good job going around and representing UK, and he's doing it so well that now is the time that William and he should just make up and then bring them back home, because he's getting all the international press. They're effusing over all the brilliant ways in which he can actually, capture the minds and hearts of people across the world and make England, the UK, the United Kingdom, look better. And then she, even in the article, actually pivots and compares him to William, to the point that says that while William is doing a same speech, basically, at the same time as Harry in his garden, and literally no one decided to pick it up. So her implication behind that is saying that, look, the working royals we have here are not good enough. They're not getting the job done. So we need to somehow attract the one who is actually getting the press, the one who's doing good work, the one who's actually uplifting our image, and we need to somehow bring him back. So, and this is coming from somebody who's actually on the other side, just acknowledging how good of a job that actually they are really doing.
But you know what? This is what we're going to need to be very, very, very careful. Because to hear something like this, say, oh, bravo, wow, what a great, specialist coming from there. I don't buy it. I don't buy it. I think this is what they're going to try to do. This is what they're going to try to say. Bring Harry back because, he's doing all this. Is that the only reason you guys need to bring him back? What about talking about the room, the home that they take away from him? What about, bringing him back with his kids, his family? I didn't hear them talking about bringing his family back with him. I heard that, bring Harry back. And he's not going to come back. And if he was coming back, he's not coming back without his family. Because again, they still continue dismissing his wife that he loves and his children that he cares so much about, that he's been wanted for God, I knows, long. And there's one thing that I think that Harry is doing brilliantly, and these days, most of his speech, he find a way to include his kids, being a part of that. And there's a reason why he's doing it. There's a reason why we are hearing people say that, he's talking to his wife during session and everything, which he was doing. There's a reason why. It's just to sort of, because people are keep dismissing this man. And to me, there's something scary about bringing Harry back. Because when you say, okay, now he's valuable, but guess what? His wife is not. So what are we going to do with his wife? What are we going to do with these children? I have a problem with that. I don't want us to be mistaken just because those so-called writers or news people coming around and talking about what a brilliant job that he's doing, that and then we're going to fall for it. Because there's a lot that will need to be done. What about stop trashing his wife? What about, this is time for us to stop trashing these couples that are doing great job. This is time that, we find them, we give them the securities that they need. This, because that was the whole reason why Harry is not in UK now, or doesn't go to UK, because he wants his kids to be able to spend time there. He have said it how many times that he need to say that? Do you understand what I mean? So if you are going to call for him to come home, then you know what? You need to provide the kind of things that he asked for, which is one, securities, which he said he will pay for. The house that was gifted to him, you guys took, and then you took $3 million, which I felt that was stolen. Because the place that they had given him was going to be, had to be fixed. And it needed to be fixed by the taxpayer. Okay? So it's not like, okay, we give him this house, but you guys make him pay for it. And then on top of it all, he was paying rent every month. So until the media, until those people start talking about, how are we going to bring Harry back home? I'm tired. I don't want to hear, it's time for Harry to come home, because we all know what they try to say, who's holding him back. Who's holding him back?
And I think, that's the thing that's interesting also is the broader picture, the change, and what, honestly, I think Church Nelly and Connie Balmer have been adding in the chat in terms of who Harry even represents at this point. Because at this point, and that's exactly what the Vanity Fair article covered, is that he has completed that transition from being a working royal to now being a global statesman, a global advocate, however the term they used. But that doesn't just reflect on him, his work individually in terms of what he's doing now. It reflects also on the loss of the UK in terms of him representing them as a country.
But that was even supposed to be him. That was supposed to be William should have that kind of title. King Charles was supposed to have that title. And yet, it's not them. And for Harry to have that title, this is it. This is why they are saying what they are saying. And to me, hearing that, it's time for Harry to come back home, what? They're going to a lot. Like, there's something, to me, it's scary. That article that she wrote, that all of us, or many people probably think that is amazing, I don't think it's amazing at all. To me, is that, she's calling out for something else.
I agree with you,
and that's how I'm taking it.
No, and I think,
this is my opinion.
And I think
it is not you guys' opinion. It probably not even the Sussex Squad's opinions, but this is my opinions here on how I'm dissecting everything, because these people have given me no reason to trust them. And until they start talking about that, giving him his security back that he asked for, until I hear them talking about, what he had asked to be able to do, bring his kids back home so they can know his country, his, the stuff, everything that he has done there, until that, they give him the house that they make him pay for. They make him pay for. And as far as I'm concerned, there is houses selling or apartments selling on that compound for about $1 million or $2 million. They need to give him back his money.
I think it goes
Give
past
him back
that.
his money.
I think it goes past that. First of all, I think everyone in the chat agrees with you. So I don't think it's just your opinion. I think it's everyone's opinion, basically, who's in the squad, if we use that as a nice representative sample. Second of all, I think the big thing is the fact that, like, giving Harry back his house, yes, obviously, and all of his money, yes, obviously, his kids, yes, obviously, but also they need to protect not only Harry but Meghan.
That's right.
And I don't mean like physically protecting her, but like mentally protecting them. They need to like make sure if they actually want them to go back and to participate in any kind of livelihood back in the UK, then they're going to have to treat the entire family with respect and understand that that they are a net benefit to them as a whole. And it's not just about Harry, but it's about everything. And they are a couple. They need to be treated as a unit, and they need to be respected as such.
Respect the man's wife and respect his children that he loves. Yeah. I hope all of them, because they're pretending as if, like, that speech probably didn't happen because they don't know what to do with it. That when he says, you know what, guess what is on his screen right now? His children.
I think that this is actually one of the, maybe an interesting thing for the Sussex squad and a lot of the work that creators who are much better at this than us are, is there's what the tabloids seem to keep focusing on is the term of even going back, and the in addition to everything that's just been talked about in terms of not dismissing Meghan, dismissing his children, dismissing all of his other successes, everything that they collectively have also done since then. The truth is that has been clear since certainly before, I think it was maybe Barron talking about this, before Colombia, but certainly since the Colombia trip through the UN this past week, it is a marked change in terms of Harry and Meghan entering the next stage of who they are becoming on the world stage. And so anyone who's even talking about Harry and his family's role, his family being his wife and his kids' role in the UK, should not be using the term going back, because if there is any involvement, it is something that is going to be going forward in terms of building from all of the success they have on this global stage now. There's never a going back ever. There may be a way of going forward in which they can continue to uplift their broader the work that some leaders in the UK are doing as a part of a broader global work like they do with the Invictus Games, but there's no going back at all. Because there's no going backwards. There is forward progress from the incredible success that they've built and the family that they've built together. And that terminology, it's not arguing against them that they're not going to go back because of X, Y, or Z reasons, that they're only going forward.
Well, the thing is that, you know what, for me, what I'm hearing that, you know what, hey, let's bring him back so we can shut him up. Let's bring him back so we can put him on what they used to do back in the day. Put him in where would
in the basement?
Not in the basement. You know that before you get sort of your neck cut off to the tower.
Oh, yeah.
Do you understand what I mean? Because that's literally, whenever I hear bring him back, this is what I hear. Because we need to have him under our control so we can shut it. So much so. There is an article because, again, as I said again, if you don't listen to Royal Sussex, you miss a day, you miss a lot, and so you literally have to listen to this man. I mean, I would know if I didn't listen all the way through, I would not even hear that. It's like, wow, are you guys gonna come in today? But what I am saying is one of the things that he was talking about from one of the article that releasing is that they asking, should the Royals allow Harry to actually be on TV? This is what this is what they're coming out now. On what world should King Charles allow Harry to be on TV?
Yeah,
it's
a different reality.
Yeah.
I mean, this is the question that they ask, because every time they see these couples, they make them look sort of, something is broken. But I think we need to go further, because there's something Tina and Michelle used to say all the time, especially Tina. This is bigger than Harry and Meghan now. There is a generation that is understand the work that they are doing and taking control of that work. You have the Sussex Squad was not built just out of nowhere. And to see what that community had become, you can dismiss that. You cannot dismiss all the biracial childrens that want to be seen. You cannot dismiss the dark-skinned girls that says if Megan doesn't have a chance on that table, what about me? You cannot dismiss the youth, what you guys have witnesses at the UN this week. And to make it so small and paint Harry or Meghan, it's them missing what is truly, really happening here right now. Because trust and believe, Harry and Meghan, in spite of all the brilliant and the incredible work that they're doing, would not have been possible if they didn't have the group, the people that who's been waiting for someone to fight back and rally around them to make today's possible. And you cannot dismiss those people. You're certainly not going to dismiss me. You're not going to dismiss the people that was in the chat right now. You're not going to dismiss Royal Sussex. You're not going to dismiss, Facts and 2 Cents. You're not going to dismiss Hy-Vee. You're not going to dismiss any of the angels that came out and saying, nope, it's not going to happen here. And we're going to deal with you in a way that you have never seen before. Because they're accustomed of saying things and then a week later they come up with something else as if like it didn't happen. We're going to bring receipts. We're going to connect receipts. And we're going to throw it in your face. We're not going to give you a chance to make an argument. We're going to remind you. They have a problem. And if they keep thinking it's all about Harry and Meghan, well, they have a problem. Because they miss what this movement is about.
That's well said.
Yep, I think it is well said. So, okay.
Are we going to transition to the...
We're going to transition now to Connie Baumer.
And just to maybe change to facilitate that transition from a very serious and important subject to fun things that are still important, but there maybe bring some humor.
I know where you guys gonna go.
We have actually a great comment from Black Queen, who was talking about Harry's work all over the city, that he had these tabloids and the rest of them had their heads spinning like The Exorcist, and that she loved it. and also Church Nelly commenting on another incredible creator, Majesty Sussex Report, in his latest episode, that because of that latest episode, that Church Nelly needed to go and get more Depends.
Oh, dear Lord.
So I encourage, as ever, everyone to go and support Majesty Sussex Report
Majesty,
as well.
we need to put, can we find her things in so we can put it on the chat?
His thing, yes, Antonio?
Yes,
Antonio.
Yes.
Antonio. Oh, I've not watched him yet. Wow.
No, it's just because it's Majesty Sussex Report. You watched it.
I did?
Yes.
Okay, all
It's
right.
just you're not
She's getting
sleeping
clued
enough.
in. You're just not connecting the two things.
Oh, I'm not.
So-
okay. It's been a long week, you guys.
It has been a
please.
long week. It has been a long week. So, two things, both going towards Black Queen. First of all, Black Queen, thank you very much. Apparently, it is your 1 month anniversary as a member.
Oh, amen.
So awesome.
Thank you.
Awesome. And also, thank you very much for the super sticker.
Oh,
You are
that's
so
sweet.
awesome as usual.
Very, very, very nice. And I hope everything is going really well with the family and as well your daughter.
That's right.
So,
Thank you so much.
thank you.
And so, speaking of such things, let's jump into Connie Baumer.
Connie, I told you,
What's up
I
with the
one day,
community update?
I wanted to do exactly what Sussex said whenever Connie Bummer come online. I just want to be able to
You
want
wanna
to
have that pitch?
once. Yes, that pitch. Go ahead.
Okay. So, as we know, as we are accustomed to do for Connie Baumer in the community update, the first thing is about the prayers. So we have to just make sure, and we just check in, right? So we are a big family,
all
and you
about
have to make sure
communities.
that you check in with the fam.
That's right.
So for prayers, first and foremost, as always, because we know that, the patron saint of all things Sussex these days is Baron. And we want to make sure that we continue to pray for his health and starts and continues to feel better.
The hard work. I mean, it's like I'm a bit selfish because I'm hoping and looking forward, and I'm sure many people have every day for him to come on, whatever what time it is, even if it's 12, 1 a.m. in the morning. We do because, but at the same token, it's like, oh my God, I know how hard doing this is, and we're doing it 1 day a week. Try to get to be prepared, and for him to do it, every single day. And on top of it all, he also released videos on where he's monitor these videos that he does, which we have to support those videos because they are incredible. I mean, the amount, the body of work this man is doing, I don't know how he does it, to
Yeah.
be honest.
Yeah, he is.
I really don't. I'm not just saying this just because I see this morning tried to put on this show together. It was insane. And I still don't get it right. And I still try to figure out, what are we doing here?
That is-
So I mean, it's insane.
Absolutely. And then our very own Church Nelly. So
Oh, my
we
girl.
certainly have prayers for her and all of her health concerns. So making sure we keep her in mind. Lady Sussex has already mentioned Black Queen. And so certainly extending our condolences for your family, because we know that you just recently had a loss. And then also our prayers of support for your daughter as she goes through basic training and into officer school. That's really amazing. Claire Kane obviously is having some difficulties, so prayers for you. Dorothy Rose, hope everything is going well. We know you've just been through your first round, and that we're here for you, girl. That's what can we say? You're fantastic. So Fatima is still in need of prayers, so you're certainly there for us. Miss Clutch Sussex, keeping her eye on her son and her niece in prayer as they struggle with health concerns for sure. Sylvia and all the prayers and making sure that medication obviously continues to be effective. And then Chef Sandy Love, we know that you are in a you were anyway, in a bad domestic situation. And so, one, congratulations on
A
leaving
lot
that
of healing.
situation.
A lot of healing.
And we know
needs.
that takes a while to process, and then also make sure you exit in a way that is healthy for you. So keep fighting the good fight, and we are certainly praying for you too.
And please be safe and stay safe, because we heard very recently. I was watching or listening. I don't know. This couple, that girl, lady, finally was able to get out of her situation and went to court for a divorce. And when she get out of the courtroom and went into her car, in 5 minutes she was no longer alive because of that guy decided to took this woman's life. We know how bad this can be, so please stay safe, watch your back, be careful you're around, be careful who you talk to, be careful where you go, sort of be safe. Just be safe.
That is exactly right. And then, as we wrap up the prayers, if there's any other prayer requests or needs, please put them in the chat. Certainly make sure that we'll do that. We always like to go back through and make sure that we have the latest and greatest. So if I don't catch you, or if we don't catch you this time, make sure that we'll certainly get it.
And
next.
we do pray for you guys. So it's not just we are saying this here, but we do pray, or at least I know I pray. Because that's how I move. That's what I'm able to do. What I do here, it's through prayer. So yes, we do pray.
So yes, thank you for that. And then okay, so the next big thing is basically news, announcements, and support. So for that, the Duchess of Success, her new book has come out, and it looks fantastic.
Have you seen the cover? I saw the pictures. I was watching her, I think, over the week, and I happened to catch her right on time as she was explaining where her book's going to be. I think it's on the 4th. I think either the book is already out, because obviously I need to order it, but I know the paperback will come out on the 4th or things like that. So guys, please go and support this wonderful content creators that's been at it for a very, very long time, and she's doing incredible work. as well herself, and being on the front line with all of us since Tina and Michelle. So we need to support her. She's an amazing writer. And I'm not so sure what the book is about until I picked it up, because I will order my part this week. And so, yes, I can't wait to see what she have, because maybe now we have our new royal correspondent.
Yeah, right. Exactly.
You know what I mean? Someone to sort of, look to, that at least going to tell us the truth. Because right now, the problem that I'm having right now is picking up any books that has to do with historical stuff, when it comes to the royals, because now I don't know whether I can believe these things anymore, what been said. You know what I mean? It's very difficult, because it's still the same people, who are telling lies, and that who have wrote so many of those books, or at least been a part of this documentary. So I don't know what to believe. That put me like, in a very tough spot.
Yeah, for sure. For
So-
sure. And to easily understand why you feel that way, for sure.
Yeah, I love the cover, the red cover. I think it was brilliant. I think it's beautiful, but I can't wait to read it. It seems like it's not a big read, so we'll see.
Yeah, no.
So please go and pick that up.
Yeah, the paperback is out October 4th.
Fourth.
So you can check that out.
Yeah, and you can order it in Amazon UK, Amazon New York, pretty
Tons.
much.
Yeah, anywhere basically on Amazon. It's
Yeah,
got
we
you
gotta
covered.
support that woman,
That's
that
right.
lady, that girl.
And
Yeah.
so the paperback's the 4th, but the ebook is actually live now for those who want to get reading right away.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay,
Nice.
that's wonderful.
And then Dre obviously has that new channel, so please go to support him.
Yeah.
And then finally, we are still waiting on recipes, people. We want to eat. We want to
No,
eat V.
I
Brahm's good
No.
roast beef,
Well,
Churchinelli's mac and
Church-
cheese,
Well, we do have
Susie Q's
Thanksgiving.
curry.
We have Thanksgiving coming up, so we should have a Sussex Squad menu.
That's what
I
I'm
think
saying.
that's what we should do. Create a menu, and then we can share a picture on the community Sunday church service of Connie Balmer, either before or after Thanksgiving, of the recipe that we all share. I think we should do that.
That'll be fun.
And maybe we'll raise money of that, or donate money for one of the charities, especially the mental health the mental health
The Parents Network?
Parents Network.
Yep.
I think that's what we should. I think that's what we should do. I don't want to be the person who's responsible
Yeah,
for
exactly. Yeah,
of
let's
the-
let's
No,
see
no, no, no,
exactly
no.
what we gonna do.
But
We'll
I'm
come back with a
thinking
plan.
about, for Thanksgiving, to give thanks. We'll do a sort of thing, and then we'll donate money for that particular charity,
Yeah, we
because
should.
I think it is a massive thing, and we need to do that.
Yeah.
We need to
Yeah.
let the
We can come back with an official plan.
We need to let the parents.
We will
know that,
percolate on
we are
this and come
thinking
back
about
with an
them
official plan.
on Thanksgiving.
Correct. So we got that. And then one more thing, and this is just more of a general news item, but something that just given the state of things, we felt it important to keep everyone just in the loop and then make sure everyone knows about what's going on. And that is the toll from what has happened with this most recent Hurricane Helene. It has been really kind of apocalyptic in the southeastern U.S. Prayers to all of our listeners and all of our friends down there, all through southern Appalachia. It has obviously, been horrific. More than 2.6 homes and businesses, including one of my best friend's business, has been wiped out by these storms and basically ruined through the floods. 64 people have died across Florida, Georgia, North Carolina, South Carolina, and Virginia.
Oh my God! Well, really, I mean, Churchinelli is from the South, so is everything okay there, Churchinelli? I'm glad that you're here with us. Is everybody's okay around you? How did that affect you? Let us know.
Yeah, so we all good wishes and prayers to people who are down there.
Yeah.
And the Moody's, which is the analytical and research firm, says that it expects between $15 to $26 billion in property damage from the hurricane, which was downgraded to a tropical storm on Friday, and then obviously a post-tropical cyclone on Saturday. AccuWeather's preliminary estimates for the total damage and economic loss is upwards of $110 billion.
Wow.
And it is one of the U.S.'s most costliest storms in U.S. history.
Not to mention, as Church Nelly just requested additional prayers for the loss of her latest wig, Wignetta, that was destroyed in the storm from Elaine.
What?
Yeah.
Well, it's a good thing that we have a fundraising for Church Nelly.
Exactly.
Oh
And-
my goodness.
And thank you
That's too
again,
funny.
Black Queen, for doing the thing that we always forget to do because we are terrible YouTube creators of asking people to please hit the thumbs up and the
Thumbs
share
up
and subscribe.
and share. But also, one of the things that we need to put in the community page for those of you that are right now listening to us, please, our boys here, Charles and George, have a IG page. If you guys can quickly go there and actually follow them so they can release some of those incredible, amazing pictures that they have took during the week over at
Climate Week.
Climate Week.
It's true. There's been a 200% increase since the service started. We went from 1 follower to 3. So
3. Oh no,
There you go.
we
Thank you-
need
thank
to
you,
grow
guys.
that. Come on, how many people is in
There
is
you
on
go.
the chat now?
we got 198. We just
Oh,
got
come
to,
on, guys.
yeah.
Even 100. Come on, let's do this. Let's see, hopefully, before the service is over, that, we at least have 100 people. We got to see those pictures. We need to share those pictures. So, come on, guys.
And-
So one other thing, Connie asked us a really, really important question.
Yes.
She asked if we like very tasty fondue.
Ooh,
And the answer to all of those, cheese as well as chocolate, would be an emphatic yes.
Yes, and chocolate, because she is in the land of chocolates.
Yeah, it's true.
Swiss
Yes.
chocolates.
Yeah.
Yes. So,
Oh, my goodness.
And cheese, for that matter. Swiss cheese.
yeah.
Oh, Swiss cheese.
That's true. And we actually do have several fondue sets actually lying around.
Yes, we do.
We can put them to good use.
That's right. That's right.
So yeah. So that basically.
There is one more thing that was actually
One more
shared
thing? Okay.
in the chat for the Connie Balmer community update, and that is from Karen Warner, who shared that the Prince Harry birthday gala was epic. They had such a wonderful time. Lots of pictures, food, interacting connections, and they actually felt a deep connection because the hotels that they were staying at was right near where Harry was staying. So
That's right.
we're so glad to hear that it was an epic gala, and we'll maybe see you at the next year's gala. We'll get down there.
Yeah, that sounds amazing.
Yes.
So congratulations, Karen. I'm glad that everything.
Oh my
is,
God! I tell you, with the Sussex Squad Nation world, everywhere, who would to say Charles and George here would have been in the room in there? I mean, it's insane. I still can believe it, but
Yeah, and
Wow.
apparently the food was extra tasty.
by the way, did they feed you guys in there? Because I heard that you were not even allowed with water.
Yeah, no, you had to. Well, they didn't have bottle provision, so you had to bring your own water bottle if you wanted to drink anything. And no, they didn't. There was not food.
The UN do not serve food. They didn't have a cafeteria.
There is a cafe there, but you also have to keep in mind it's jam packed. So if one room could fit 600 people, and they had around 10 or maybe more conference rooms running at any one time, you can just imagine how many people were there and like how busy that cafe was.
Yeah, you also got to remember it's a bit that whole thing about security. It's like,
But
that is
yeah,
where-
that's right. I mean, even bags, your bags, guys, had to be a certain size
yeah,
and
it's very
things like that.
Yeah,
That's-
it's a whole deal.
Oh my God.
So anyway, that wraps up.
Church Nelly says that she needs wig therapy, so that means there is something we're going to be bringing. So I think the next service that'll be the beginning of that wig therapy.
Okay.
Next week.
No
Wig
problem.
therapy. So, oh boy, and now you just got her tickled. So, but that pretty much wraps up what's going on with the Connie Balmer report until, you just got her on a funny bone now.
And while Lady Sussex laughs at the wig therapy, we will just say a massive thank you to everybody who's listening in right now.
Yes.
The roughly 200 people who are tuning in. To Church Nelly,
I'm gonna
for
mute
always,
you, woman.
to Church Nelly for always making Lady Sussex laugh. To everyone who subscribed, all of our members especially. Wait, she the thing is, she's not been sleeping,
It's true. It's true. It's true. So I'm hesitant to tell you actually what the last thing Church Nelly said. So, because we got to get this show on the road, folks. Which clearly is not going to happen. Vibram, as we keep on going, as we go through our giggle break, thank you so much for the super sticker. We certainly appreciate you and all your support.
Yes.
And I think she's finally collected again.
Yeah.
So that's good.
Okay, I'm fine. I'll breathe. Okay, come on. Let's go. Let's do this.
Yes, and so with that, just as a thank you, before we get to our official open, I think we need to change the video. Instead of being about the service starting, it's about the service continuing, because I think we're an hour and a half in now already.
Is it? Okay.
But a special thank you to those members of the channel, especially the members who have been supporting us for over a year at this point, which is crazy. R.R. Carter, Marvel Walker, and Petrico Marcel, thank you so much. They're at 15 and 16 months, and also a special thank you to all of the recent members who have joined and have come in and supported, including the most recent member, Bryce Thompson, Lady Rose and V. Thomas from last week, Connie Bomber, and of course Eve Bomber. We got the Bomber family, Sylvia Fielder, Kay Castillo, Black Queen, Church Nelly, April Showers, Antonio TC416, Vibram, Lydia Washington as well. So thank you so much to all of our members.
I actually also, I know normally that, we'll read some of, sort of messages and stuff. There's one that I wanted you to read if you have it, because I want to answer to it. It was last week. It was regarding of someone, was quite stressed because it wasn't last week, actually. It was 2 weeks ago when we was on. Regarding something that I've said.
No, you read that.
No, you already read it. We already responded.
Mm-hmm.
We did?
Yeah, we did.
Yeah, you did the whole thing.
I did?
Yep.
Oh, okay.
Yep.
All right. Go ahead.
Yes.
Okay.
So let's get this.
So before we're just going to say continue the service as opposed to get the service started, because we've been going. We'll just remind everyone that we are here as a church service, but not as one that is trying to convince anyone to change their own beliefs. We are here simply to ask questions and help promote and highlight those who we believe are really working on the front lines to make the world a better place. People like Prince Harry and Princess Meghan. And we would also remind everyone that we are not experts and we do not claim to be experts. And we would encourage everyone to, as always, do their own research to validate what they're thinking, get multiple perspectives, do all of those good things that we should be doing in the modern information society. So,
but based on what the UN says, for being able to invite you guys there, they said you guys are smart. So now whether you guys do something with that smart, I don't know. But they say you guys are smart, so we are going to be able to invite you guys. So they did invite you guys to be in the room with a bunch of other smart people. So let's get the service started. Wow. Oh my goodness. I feel like it's an hour and a half. We're finally getting to our words of today because, again, word matter. And so we need to have understanding about this words that, who pretty much it's shape our lives, right? It shape our worldview. It shapes what is going on. We need to have better understanding of those words. One of the things that, very recently, I find myself sort of find this, oh God, what do you call it? Those shorts that they do on YouTube. And then one of them is about, where certain words come from into words that we use today, and it's so fascinating. It's incredible to see that, where some of those words coming from, it's very interesting. I don't know if anybody seen that, but it's so cool. But we do have, if I could find my papers here, I'm still thinking about Church and Nelly. Swear to, oh God, I cannot swear. I'm swearing. Oh boy, that's not good. Church and Holly, please. Okay, okay. All right. Our first, we have two words for you guys today, and the words are climate, right? And the next word is
Well, you don't want to give them away the next word yet.
the second word.
Yeah, we should talk about it.
But we usually just say those two words. Okay, so we'll do climate first.
Yeah. Especially coming out of Climate Week.
That's right.
It is the word to focus on right now.
Yeah, I don't think that was an accident.
Well, but it's not. Well, yeah, you know how my mind thinks. Except the UN didn't say that I'm smart enough to be invited.
I think you've lost it. She's not slept enough for
Yeah,
for
exactly,
10
exactly.
days now.
Exactly. I think you're pretty busy yourself already, my dear.
Okay, go ahead. Go ahead.
So, okay, so word of the day, climate. First used in 1578, coming out of the Middle French as a derivative from the Latin.
So when we say climate, we're not talking about climate.
I'm doing the definition.
All right. Okay.
Just relax over there.
Well, you guys
She's
get
still thinking
run-
about wigs.
Yeah,
that's the problem.
exactly. That's it.
Yeah.
So, first definition, and let me get through all of these definitions because we'll get to your point. The first definition is a region of the earth having a specific climatic conditions. So that's just the general definition of what we all think of when we first think of climate. The second is an average course or condition of weather that is at a place usually over a period of years as exhibited by temperature, wind velocity, and precipitation. So that's, again, a healthy climate, a warm climate, a humid climate. But what we're going to be talking about today is a more general sense, which is a prevailing set of conditions. And something similar to that would be like the climate around the peace talks was improving. So that's the kind of context in which we're going to look at climate today, is what the conditions are over a relative set of circumstances. And then the third basically is a prevailing influence or the environmental conditions characterizing a group or a period.
Mhm.
So that is what climate is more broadly, and then also how we're going to use it to define and wrap around this conversation about how it defines a particular set of conditions as we apply.
And what year or century did this word becoming available to us?
It was first used, climate as the word itself, prior to basically its origins in Middle French and Latin, was first used in 1578.
Okay. Very good. So go ahead.
So yeah, no, that is the definition.
Well, I think one of the things that's interesting about this word also, and one of the things that we saw throughout all of this past week at the UN, and frankly, what much of the work that Harry is doing is the as Charles mentioned, the interconnected elements, the systems that create the environments in which we live. Whether we're talking about truly the environment, nature itself, as well as social environments or political environments, they are all these different types of climates. And one of the things that, again, was emphasized a lot at the UN this past week was how each of those different climates, frankly, make up one larger macro climate. And that's actually one of the things I think is interesting to go to where we're going to go, Lady Sussex, which I know is this idea of the environment which has led to these changes for where Prince Harry is now, how he is acting now, the effect it is having on the media and the rest of the royal family, is that fact that all of those different systems are interconnected, whether it is environment and society and intergenerational elements. And one of the articles that actually covers it and captures that idea well, just in terms of, again, the fact that these are interconnected systems, is an article by the title Environment, Power, and Society for the 21st Century, the Hierarchy of Energy. And this author is taking an approach of really one of the biggest things that's happening right now is the energy transition. But that idea of how the environment, power, and society all are these elements that are then interconnected is something that's really important. It's published by Columbia University Press by Howard T. Odom in 2007, actually. And he says, this book is about nature and humanity. Nature consists of animals, plants, and microorganisms, earth processes, and human societies working together. These parts are joined by invisible pathways over which pass chemical materials that cycle around the world, being used and reused, and through which flow potential energies that cannot be reused. The network of these pathways forms an operating system from the parts. Behavioral cues pass between animals, human discourse, and money, organized society, A study of humanity and nature is thus a study of systems of energy, materials, money, and information. I just want to repeat that last sentence again, because I think that's a really important
Yeah.
combination of the different things that really make up climate most broadly and human nature. Is that a study of humanity and nature is thus a study of systems of energy, materials, money, and information. Later on, he goes and adds that understanding environment and society as a system means thinking about parts, processes, and connections. To help understand systems, we draw pictures of networks that show components and relationships. Thereafter, we can carry these systems images in our minds, and we can process how we learn about energy, materials, and information, and how we interact, and how each of those things interact. And I think that's one of the things that definitely is something that Charles and I and our teams are going to be working on quite a bit and continue to push forward, is that interconnection of how all of those different pieces work together. But it also goes to a lot of the work that Prince Harry led and its impact on sort of the people around him, the press, the rest of the royal family, of how these changes in macroeconomic factors, macro-environmental factors, the movement of money, things, organizations like Harry himself has stood up with Travelist, things like that, the difference that is making, and the change in the climate, not just environment, but this sort of broader systems sort of that are coming together and how they're all moving forward.
It's almost, there was again, you know, to get back, and I cannot stop talking about the UN week, which is finishing tomorrow. There was something in the air. I just felt like there were so many words that we either have heard or talk about before, and then all of a sudden that, you know, to hear them in that space and to almost like see as though everybody was talking one language. Do you understand what I mean? And it felt like that. It felt that, you know, whether it's what you guys been advocate for you know, and you guys podcast, Planet First Action, and I hope you guys go please and support them there. It's about the silos, right, between all the stakeholders, and the idea is that, you know, what is happening, there's a lot happening, but they're happening in silos. And how do you bring all those stakeholders together? How do you speak with one another? How do and when it comes to the investors, the investment community that seems to be behind the you know, behind, you know, why things are not really moving maybe as quick as they should be, to actually seeing them now coming or at least starting answering the call, it was incredible to see. Do you understand what I mean? But it's almost like, you know, feel like the work, everything that we know we are doing, to how is that, you know, Harry himself who's been doing that work for a long time, but yet it's almost like everybody was catching up. But yet there is that sense of unity from each different of those speeches. It was incredible. And so for me, that's why I wanted to look at where are we moving in? What type of climate that we are moving in right now that's allowed us to see these people, those stakeholders, to be coming into, you know, the line that they are in. For Harry to make this brilliant speech and call out a lot of those stakeholders, a lot of those investment firms, a lot of those mega and major and big money people that, you know, who makes, you know, who move our world around, that makes things happen. You know, what caused that aspect? What caused Harry to be able to stand up there and literally telling them that, you know what, hey, you know, there's, regardless where you come from, regardless, you know, what area code that you belong, regardless, you know, what you believe in, your faith or anything that, you know, but there is one thing that, you know, we need, that we have in common, is our kids. How do we protect them? And the part that a lot of them play on that. You have to see the climate that, you know, we are in that allowed him to be able to speak with the, you know, shakers and movers like that in their face, because it was in that room. It wasn't like he was talking behind them. He's literally was talking in their faces. That is incredible. But I think what missing and what we should start, so Sussex one, and I know you guys know that, and I'm not telling you anything that you don't know. That climate that we are in, there is a lot of things that's going to change. It is scary. It's good change. It's major. It's what we all know, and it's what we have been pushing for. But it comes with consequences if we missed it. We don't keep our eye open, and that ball could be catastrophic. So we're going to have to keep our eyes open because what Harry is doing, the power that Harry is now have, the kind of money that he's talking about. We know money move the world, money move people, money make people change their tune. Money brings power, and power makes people do things and say things and bring people to the confinement that, sort of they find themselves in. And Harry stood on that stage, each of those stages, and make speeches that was just only brilliant but was powerful. But there was a lot more to those speeches. There was a lot more. And that is not by coincidence. We are moving in a very different climate. And everything that Harry says, because as someone that knows a little one or two thing about speeches, I will tell you everything he put in that speech. Even the point where he's talking about his own kids and talking about there was a reason he was talking with somebody. He was answering to somebody. And that speech had to do several things. It had to sort of put the medias in their places. It's talking to the big mega money people that who are now is going to become his partner, people that he deal business with. It was supposed to be talking to the youth and says, you got this. It's to talk to the new leaders. You guys need to shape up because I'm here to show you guys something that you refuse to see. And as Harry has said one time before, only him can do that. And there's a reason why he said this when he did say it. There's a reason why. Because he have seen what behind the curtain. And he knows the risk. And the game, the card that they play, Harry and Meghan have played, it's one that you know what is genius. And I think we are moving in a place where, guys, I'm telling you really right now, that a lot of people going to find themselves confiding on who's the boss. I don't know if I'm articulating that last point really well, but something is changes.
Well,
Something is changing.
I think
And I'm going to get to it a little bit later by playing a clip, from Baron, and he got it, but I want to extend to that.
if I had to paraphrase what you meant, and perhaps I could be wrong, so please clarify if it wasn't. What you meant by who's the boss, I think it's just a recognition of who's doing the work and who's leading the charge.
That's right. That's right. But it's also regardless who's doing the work, regardless again, money, it's power.
yeah, that's
Where,
that's
you
the
know
thing.
what I mean?
Going back to that book that was put out by the by Columbia University Press, is that when you're talking about human nature, humanity, and nature, it is the systems of energy, materials, money, and information.
That's
And if you
right.
think about the work that Harry's been doing, it is especially not it covers each of them, all four of those buckets, but especially a focus on the flow of information, and with these speeches and with the work that you're doing and what you're highlighting right now, Lady Sussex, is that flow of money and the change in the movement of money into the initiatives that are going to make the world a better place. Things like Travelist, things that are working toward addressing sustainability, things that are addressing mental fitness. That those speeches reflect a change in leadership in a way.
And it's also, I think, it's one thing that you guys have been talking about in your podcast, Planet First Action, is that the future is not something, sort of in far future. The future is here. And it's incredible to see the UN, all they talk about was about the future in the future in present tense, not in past tense, in present, not in the past tense or future tense. It was now. And this is what you guys have been talking about. The future is here. And what does that mean? The future is here. Things going to change in every way possible. Whether you're behind the ball or you're in front of the ball, something is about to change. Business, how business is done, going to our structure of our businesses are going to change. And the question is, who's going to lead it? As every generation or every 10 years or 15 years, things change. Like, for example, we didn't have Amazon. Now we do. What did Amazon do from how we're shopping? Do you understand what I mean? There's many stores. People don't really go out to the stores anymore to shop because it's easy at their fingertips to sort of, call an order. That was something that I was sort of, for me, myself, you would think that, being a young person, somehow that it's something that, I would be like up to. But I understand what that was doing to moms and pops. And it took me a long time before I could get into that movement, being able to order things from Amazon. Do you understand what I mean? Now that I do, whether it's Walmart, whether it's all these different things that now who can't completely control how we shop, and the power in that change. And so now we are moving in a place that is even further, that's even different. That's much more than Amazon. That's much more than all the big changes that we have seen. When we think about what Travelist is about to do, when you think about the movement of how we see mental health, or how we looked at Africa with this incredible, there's some amazing work that we have yet seen or know about that's happening in Africa, and who is taking charge of that. We are seeing leaders that we have never seen before in a form, in a shape of youth, of young, that we pretty much, like, once in a while that you will see somebody young out there doing an amazing thing. But there's a group of them that now they know how to, get their voice to be heard. We have platform now, whether it's YouTube, whether it's what's the next one that we have? God, please help me here, guys. TikTok. We have so many. We have podcasts. We can create a podcast. There's so much. It's so easy now to create movement. And now, on top of it all, we have AI. How do we look at AI? How should we can even begin? The workforce is changing. What used to bring money and bring sort of security for our moms or paps, and that put us to college and all that, like, for example, sort of job like governmental job, or sort of a toll fare, there's so many jobs that's going away because of AI. We are moving in a tech world. And I will argue many of us are not even prepared for it. But someone has to lead that. How we make money. How we put food on the table. How do we sort of now even study in school, when at your fingertip now you can have the answer, or you can have AI do your work, where so many people, like, there's so much we are transforming. And to have someone like Harry that was leading, one of the leaders that's leading into that space, and people are taking notice about that. You guys need to continue having conversation, because my mother tried to get up to bed. I need to go.
No, yeah, and it's while Lady Sussex attends to her mother, I think that's something that we saw so much of throughout the UN, throughout all of the sort of the events of this past week, is that the leaders, one is that there is a call for the new generation of leaders. Actually, the Deputy Secretary General Amina Mohammed That was one of the things that she highlighted quite frequently, is that what the world needs right now is these leaders that are able to address these sort of multiple interconnected dynamics all at once. And the fact that there is not a way to address one dimension of the sort of the changes that are happening, be it good or bad. You know, when you talk about things like new AI that's coming into our societies, it is going to have certainly both kinds of effects. But there is nothing that can be addressed in isolation. And so that is one of the things, again, that is really incredible about the work that Harry's doing, and everything that he was able to highlight over this past week, is that he recognizes that interconnected nature, but he's also working to design solutions and initiatives that address them in that sort of holistic way. If you take the Clinton Global Initiative as just one example, that in his really brilliant speech, one of the best speeches I think of this past week, he highlights there is obviously the need for addressing the mental health elements of what is currently being unaddressed, and there's that in and of itself has multiple different pieces to it, between empowering the youth themselves, empowering the parents who are helping to care for them, but also holding platforms accountable, all of what he just went through. But even in addition to that, highlighted the fact that the mental health and the mental well-being and the mental fitness of those youth is in and of itself important, but also important to our sort of collective well-being, physical well-being, and that of the planet, because those youth are the one who are more native to the new digital landscape, native to these new digital tools, and the ones who are working to design the solutions that are going to both mitigate the effects of climate change as well as help us to adapt to a changing climate. And so we have to actually be able to address mental fitness for this new generation of leaders and those who are going to be on the front lines, to be able to actually get the solutions that we collectively need when it comes to sustainability. The mental health and sustainability are directly linked in that nature. And that is one of the things that has been abundantly clear throughout this past weekend, was brought to the forefront. And it is exactly that. It is leaders like Prince Harry that are working to not only highlight the interconnection of those different elements, but to actually create new solutions that address it.
No, I completely agree with you, and I think it's such a broader thing, because, again, as you mentioned, George, the interconnectedness of kind of our society. In society, you can't look at things and just simply say, okay, well, look, this is what society is, because society basically encapsulates everything. You are your environment. It's just a natural reflection of basically where you happen to exist. And so I think people are becoming more aware and coming to terms with it a little bit better. I think for much too long, it has been kind of like an us versus them kind of situation, or it has been like, okay, well, look, this is all great and is like a nice to have, but my business, my this, my that, that's where I'm focused on my bottom line. It kind of exists outside of this kind of sustainability idea. But now I think people have a much greater understanding that unless they take care of everyone, it's going to impact them as well. Yep. They are included in everyone. And I think this is beginning to be brought to fore, I think, a little bit more and more. And I think Harry, frankly, and Meghan as well are just ahead of that curve. I think that they have realized how disruptive that these things can be, and then how they themselves have been impacted by it. And I think that they're just, because of just the very nature of who they are trying to be good stewards and realize they have the platform and position to really make a difference, to kind of bring this idea to a bigger and greater stage. So it's, it's impressive. I think it's unfortunate, frankly, that they are one of the few examples we can kind of pinpoint that do that. But again, I think it also just speaks even more to their character, that where they come from this environment which very much does not do that, and yet still kind of really bloom and blossom into these great leaders.
Yeah, and I think honestly, it's funny because Black Queen, you hit it kind of on the head, saying that to think that there's a lot of people that are always saying the youth are lazy and out of touch, yet they may be the ones that are saving the world from us. that is honestly, it is one of the key themes that was addressed in many of the sessions at the UN, is that explicit recognition that it's all, there's sort of this very this talk that waxes poetic about the saving the future for our children and our grandchildren, but in this UN General Assembly, and this also the first ever Summit for the Future, a very explicit recognition that the youth are not just the leaders of tomorrow, they are the leaders of today, they are the change makers of today. They're the ones who are actually designing and creating the new solutions, the new social contracts, the new ways of thinking, the new appreciation of the importance of mental fitness that is actually essential to us being able to collectively move into a better place as a society. And again, that's why it's great to see that going beyond just talk into action with sort of in the more private side of things, from the initiatives by Archibald Foundation, by Prince Harry and Princess Meghan, in terms of the work that they're doing to empower, uplift, and enable youths to do that work and to be their best selves, but also at the explicit sort of civil service level and civil society level, in terms of the initiatives that one of the part of it came through in the Pact for the Future that was adopted, is that you give the youth themselves actual a place at the table, an ability to help inform those decisions, an ability and a role to sit in those conversations in which the future is being decided, because their perspective has to be explicitly included. And so that is one of the things that has been really, really inspiring from this past week, is that translation of those ideas, which we know are important to finally action and sort of concrete changes.
Yeah, I'm back.
And
I'm back.
you're back.
But what we're going to do is, because the reason why, again, I choose this word, climate, and see what Harry was doing on that stage and who he was speaking to, and why he was able to speak like that, but more so to see what is happening into our media since then. I'm just mixing up with the mic. Hold on, I'm trying to fix it.
Incredible job.
Not working.
Not working? Okay. I think, is it fine now?
Yeah.
Okay. And to see what is happening right now, whether it's not, I won't say misinformation, like, for an example, that report that, you just, read to us, Charles, earlier, that, it's time to bring Harry back, to people actually stating the fact that, what, he's a statement, he's a leader, all that. Why is this happening? And so in order for us to really, truly understand why Harry was able to do what he's doing, construct his speech the way that he did, and really have the power, the strength, everything that was behind him to do that, we have to listen to that clip. I think that, Royal Sussex Baron did an incredible job, and I want to extend to that. I was going to go just pick up the clip itself, but I think he makes a point, and he feels it. He understands what was going on there. But I would love to extend to his opinion on that speech. Can we play that, please?
There's a revelation in Boris Johnson's memoir.
No. This is team, whatever you call it.
That's it, the Baron clip.
We're talking, yeah.
It is indeed a good afternoon.
No,
It's such a
that's a different clip.
Strike to
There's only one more. I mean, you guys got to give it to me in order, people.
Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome, and thank you for being here. As I sought solutions to some of the world's most pressing conservation challenges, I quickly realized just how profound an impact the travel and tourism industry has. Our new data initiative aims to give us a clearer understanding of how tourism can be a genuine force for good, and what changes are needed to ensure that it delivers on that promise. It's what inspired me to create Travelist in the first place. They said we'd never get these major tech companies to collaborate. They said we'd never bring data to scale consistently or build solutions.
Let me just make sure that you heard that. It's what inspired me, Prince Harry, the Duke of Sussex, to create Travelist in the first place. Me. not the Royal Foundation, not some abstract person here or there. You know, I can understand better why they felt this need to attack Harry on the environment the way they would have done that anyway because they're so petty. But this is huge. Let them continue.
Work for everyone. By 2030, we're expecting 1.8 billion international arrivals each year, nearly double the numbers we saw just 2 decades ago. Together,
Can I interrupt one more time? He said by 2030, we are expecting, what did he say, 1.2 billion arrivals a year. So that means that, what, in the world of 8 or 9 billion people, one in every 8 or 9 people are going to travel to another destination, a place that is not home. Now, of course, it's really not that many people, but it's the equivalent of, because a lot of people are going to take multiple trips. So I get that. But if one in every 8 or 9 people in this world decided, I want to go to lunch in Paris, I want to go and walk the Great Wall of China, there's a lot of pressure being placed upon the resources and infrastructure around the world. And Harry, in his infinite wisdom, was considering the impact that this is going to have on the global community. I cannot tell you how huge that is. You either get it or you don't, but it's huge. So,
Travelist and its partners represent a combined market value of nearly $3 trillion. This is a massive.
Travelist and its partners, if you took all of the companies involved in Travelist, it's the equivalent of, what did he say, $3 trillion? That's like Apple, Tesla, Walmart, Amazon. Just take the biggest companies in the world and put them together. And anyway, let me stop interrupting him.
Force for good. And we're committed to using it to ensure that travel not only sustains communities, but helps them thrive. On 22nd of July earlier this year, we experienced the hottest day ever recorded. Dr. Sally Uren's organization, Forum for the Future, shared a report with me that said that somebody born in 2020 is likely to experience 8 times the number of heat waves, 4 times the number of droughts, 3 times the volume of crop failures, and 3 times the number of river floods than a person born in 1960. As a father of 2 children, that's absolutely terrifying. I've seen what this coalition of partners can achieve, and I believe we are on the verge of something truly transformative. We have the data, we have the resources, and most importantly, the commitment to make real change. Together, we are proving that travel can be a force for good. So let's continue this journey together and make sure that travel benefits everyone, everywhere.
2 things you guys need to get from this. And I know that, like I said, Royal Sussex said, if you know, you know. 2 things that stands out. $3 trillion. Now, we're talking about real money here. Not billion, $trillion. Sorry, my mask, because, I have to put a mask on when I go to my mother because I don't want to get her my cold. $3 trillion. What does that mean? And before I get into what that means, let's say again, right there in that speech, he talks about his 2 children. How much he cares about, how much he thinks, things need to change for them. And to go back to earlier, bring Harry back and not bringing his children back, what are you saying? I think that was the answer. It was purposely done, and he knows what he's doing. But let's go back to that. What does that mean, $3 trillion? The power in that. And I can tell you, a lot of why he was able to stand, have, to give that speech in front of all those stakeholders because they understand that value. And the media themselves here that we all see how they all coming out, even Fortune's magazine, something is changing. There's a new sheriff in town. Something is coming that they know. The kind of stakeholder to be a part of that $1 trillion going to make people, I won't say shut up, but like, you know what, be careful with what you said. I mean, think about it. Think about Jeff Bezos, right? How often we hear horrible things about it. I mean, if we did, it just shut up. Like when you have that kind of money, when you're running that kind of circle, when you pay the bills of so many of these people, people know what to say and what not to say. It's a different way of moving around the world when we talk about that kind of money. And the way Harry stood up and made the speech and talk about, said, not nobody's mine. I created this. I think saying shockwave. Shockwave. Not just only to the royal roaders, but to many people that who has been doing nothing but bashing this man. Because what he's tried to create here, we're talking about trillions of dollars in such a short time. I mean, obviously, we don't know how much money the royals they have. We don't know what money, based on their Lancaster or all these sort of real estate that, they own. They have a little bit money and everything. And some of it, it's fair to say, it come from the public money and everything, whatever the case is. But now you have this man in a short time, him and his wife, creating an empire. We are now talking about something that he created very short years ago. $3 trillion. They know what's coming. And where that sounds so good, it feels good to actually hear it. It feels good to be a part of that movement that lead him to where it's at. It's so probably one of the most frightening things for me. Because when people are desperate, when people are just kind of like they don't know what to do and they just want to shut you off, they will do desperate things. And that's going to bring us all to our next word, desperate, which we choose. And we need to be very, very careful. Because we saw what desperation did to Diana. We saw what desperation, or at least what they tried to do in New York. So let's not think somehow they're not going to try to do things that is desperation, because who they want to get, who they want to have control of, it's Harry. Because they know they can get it on Meghan. She reject them. She reject everything they about. They have a problem with her and they have a problem with her children. And somehow in their head, I don't know why they think that way, but they think somehow that what they have been able for a very long time get away with Harry, maybe if only maybe we have him, maybe we can control him. And that's why you hear, or should the king allow him to go on TV? They know what's coming. They know if they leave Harry out there doing what he's doing right now, what does it mean for every single one of them? And when we're talking about $3 trillion, think there's a lot going to be changing in the media because in some way, shape, or form, when you have Fortune magazine is reporting on Harry and Meghan, that really seems to have absolutely nothing to do, but at least not yet. They are reporting and good reporting and having conversation. There's something is happening. Something is happening. And we need to take notice of. Because I think the world world has just been putting on notice this week. All of them. And so we are going to move on to our next word, desperate. How we should look at it. How should we understand it? What happened when people get desperate? So how should we see this word, Charles?
Sure. Desperate actually is from around the same time as climate. It was also unveiled in the 15th century from Latin. And it is, they all have similar framing, but different kind of scopes. So the first is having lost all hope. That is the first.
Uh-huh.
The second, under that same definition, 1b, is giving no grounds for hope, which I think is actually very interesting just because it's like, okay, well, there's no hope to be had. One is basically having lost it, and the other is basically like there's nothing there present for you to have it in the first place.
Right.
2 is moved by despair or utter loss of hope. 2b is basically involving...
Let's pick up the energy. I know we're tired, but let's pick up the energy, please.
Okay, fine. Is involving or employing extreme measures in an attempt to escape or defeat or frustration. The third is suffering extreme need or anxiety. So you're being desperate for money. You're being desperate to escape. The fourth is basically involving extreme danger or possible disaster.
Uh-huh.
The fifth is extreme intensity. And then the final, sixth, is shocking or outrageous.
Right, which is what we are seeing, all of it. We have seen all of it, one shape, way, or form. We have seen it. And we cannot believe it, but we have seen some form of that. So go ahead.
Yeah, it's a really interesting word. And you kind of already hit on it a little bit, Lady Sussex, in terms of what do people do when they become desperate. And so that begs the question of what is desperate. And so there's actually a really great book article that was actually put out by Alan Bloom. It's called Panic and Fear on the Phenomenology of Desperation. It was in the Sociological Quarterly and published in 1996. And the abstract is one of the shortest abstracts that I've ever read, but I think it's actually really brilliant. And then there's a bit in terms of the opening remarks that are also valuable for the conversation of what you were just setting up, Lady Sussex. But this abstract, I think, is amazing, very poetic. It says, fear is the extreme expression of narrow-minded and stupid seriousness, which is defeated by laughter. Complete liberty is only possible in a completely fearless world. That is like, we could probably have an entire service about those ideas. That fear is the extreme expression of narrow-minded and stupid seriousness, which is defeated by laughter, and that complete liberty is only possible in the completely fearless world. I mean, that's remarkable as an abstract. It doesn't tell you much about what's going to be talked about in the journal, but it's actually brilliant in terms of the ideas of it. But this idea, the studying what it even is desperation, that idea that this author puts forward, that it is a combination of panic and fear. And in some of the opening remarks, the author Alan Bloom writes that since commentators astute as John Baudrillard have made modern life synonymous with panic, I set out in this article to reach an understanding concerning the character of panic as a social phenomenon. After orchestrating a dialogue, quote-unquote dialogue, on panic between opposing views that I called sociological and postmodern, I show that panic in the former approach is identified with the limiting case of outbreak under conditions of confinement, and in the latter is treated as unreservedly equivalent to the mood of our time. I note that what is unthought is this dialogue is the question of what panic is that enables such views to recognize its effects, that is, the undeliberated differences that grounds panic. He then goes on to say that I begin to reconcile the opposing views by identifying panic following Emil Durkheim, as normal phenomenon bound up with the conditions of the species. This allows me to examine the existential conditions that are typically named by panic, or, in the idiom of Kenneth Burke, insofar as situations are typical and recurrent in a given social structure, people develop names for them and strategies for handling them. I try to show that the particularity of the situation is glossed with named as strain, nihilism, or claustrophobia without further ado, since these designations are identified with panic a priori without being thought through. There's a lot in that, and a lot of different, it's expressed in a way that's, has a certain nature in terms of the syntax, the sentences he's using, but the things that really stood out to me is when you're talking about desperation, those words of the narrow-minded and stupid seriousness, that it is constrained and confined, that you don't have places to go. It puts you in a place of desperation. And also that one of those final ideas in terms of nihilism, that you're not actually, as Charles was just talking about, it's so closely associated with a loss of hope, an entire loss of hope, but an entire loss of hope in which you are also confined and you can't move outside of it, that there's no constraints. It's almost a combination, as you mentioned, Charles, of the first two ideas, that you've lost it and you also have no grounds with which you can get it back. And so when you talk about the desperation causing these sort of desperate measures, as the saying goes, it is important to think through that phenomenon in and of itself, the fact that it is tied to all of those different ways of feeling and thinking and the inability to really move.
Absolutely. And we could see it at play, whether it's those weak reporting that we are seeing from the world roaders, what they're accustomed to, the money that they used to make, they are not making anymore. The way they report 1 minute that, they say one thing and the other one, whether it's Chris Ship that said, he would never report, on them anymore. And yet he followed them like Well Sussex went out to Germany and to still reporting on them, to, what we are seeing happening right in front of us with Williams, that seems to be lost, so to speak. Growing a beer out of seems to be nowhere. To we looking at a man that was in distress. To a king that we have no idea what he's doing, what his agenda. I mean, in spite of that, we heard a lot of his name mentioned, and at the UN, I'm sure you guys know about that. There was some speech that, we mentioned him because he had this work that he used to do that has, sort of, he was like in the front, line that talking, but now you would think that he have arrived that space, he would have been able to own that. He's nowhere to be found. There's so much, that kind of panic to create for them, to whoever it was, I don't know who it was, if there was at all, coming from, England to our paper here to point out some, what I feel like was garbage, to be honest, recital, a bunch of accusation with no merit, they unable to prove, using the same tactic that are no longer working against people of color, women in general, it's just not working. And so you wonder, they are lost, they are in panic, they are desperate because everything they try to do, they encounter, sort of a pushback. And it's getting harder and harder for them. It's getting tougher for them. It is making them look stupid. We're talking about these people are so desperate. In that desperation, they are bringing their own network, their own papers down from that stupidity. And some will argue, even the royal family, because of the silliness, not understanding the space that they are in, they're losing on the biggest, winning that they had with Meghan. Let me say, the biggest that would have transformed the royals to bring them into this century in a place that, they could have continued making money, continue doing what they do behind the scene, but looking good. And they think that, somehow that they could push this woman away because they are superior. They don't want their blood to be mixed when we are living in a mixed world these days. I mean, for those people that who does these what do you call it? Those tests that people do to see your generality, whatever how you call it, to see where you come from.
Ancestry.com and those kinds of things.
I mean, I think it's very clear that we know, for all we know, there's such a thing as pure blood. I don't even know if that exists because we all have something in us.
Yeah, it's nonsense.
So it is absolutely nonsense. Now you have this biracial woman. I mean, I'm talking about, this is the best they come. The best they come. That, bring a crowd that they didn't have. They could have just sit down because as far as we concerned, many of us saying we did not doing anything, still doing nothing. Let this black woman, let Harry doing all the work, and then they could get credit. Could you imagine in the world, supposedly that, that hierarchy thinks that, it has to be, William first or his wife first, Catherine first. What would that look like? Picture that. That you see those two women supporting one another. Just picture Catherine with Meghan attacking the world, doing initiative thing. That would not take anything away from Catherine, that will be queen. Could you imagine what that would look like on those stage? Could you imagine those two brothers that was left such a young age losing their, mother? It's very obviously there is a lot Harry can do, this guy cannot do. But could you imagine? He could have been still. I mean, people would not look at him any strange way. They were not looking at that he's weak. They were not looking at, they could have still doing incredible things. And for Charles, as a king, to have those two incredible sons, instead of being proud, not because, in my opinion here, that he did anything right by them, but he could harvest what they have to offer to make his kingdom, to make what he's doing looking really good as he's dealing with his own health issues, that he has both of his sons out there doing incredible work. Do you understand what I'm saying? The royal royals now, they themselves would have so many incredible, whether, from the fashion thing or whatever it is that, you want to report, the amazing thing, the kind of money they would have been making. But because of stupidity, they find themselves in a place where they think they was in control, and they forgot they have lost that control a long time ago, and they try to hold on to it by continue putting and doing stupid stuff out there, and it's backfiring all the time. And now all they have is that how much thing we can accuse this woman that who literally, some will argue, in terms near perfect, so to speak, on people you will want to see on the stage representing you, that doesn't bring a lot of baggage for you to bash her with. People have followed this woman since she was 9, even earlier than that. Leave her live on screen. People know who she is, and you try to tell people that, what? Oh no. Accuse her of dictator and heels. What if she was? What does that even mean? sort of, Megan make, grown men cry. Well, good. Well, some will argue that, there's many ways to make a man cry.
There's nothing wrong with crying, all right?
And there's nothing wrong with crying. If I make you tune in with your emotion, that's a good thing. So that's showing that, this woman is in control. She knows what she's doing, if she's capable of such a thing. So I don't even see what they were trying. Is that to get men mad? Is it who they try? Because the women will really, as we can see, many women is coming to her defense and saying, show me how.
Yeah, honestly, that's the first time you saying that now that the whole thing actually struck me as going beyond the attack on the false attack on Megan, the pretext in and of itself, as if a grown man crying is innately a bad thing.
Right.
That itself is contributing to the mental health crisis that we have today, because they continue to force that narrative of you can't even express your own emotions. Like
That's
that
right.
is literally part of the problem.
That is a part of the problem. And if I'm sure if she makes him cry for a reason. There is something why he's crying. I suppose that sending sort of email at 5:00 in the morning, that's what will make the men cry. So what are you saying? Are you saying all the men that are out there are weak? Like what are you trying to do? Do you understand what I mean? It's like it just doesn't. The tactic, what they try to achieve here, it's not working, and it kept not working. And we seen one of the things that we have seen. It's almost like all these people that come after Harry and Meghan, included this man, which I don't remember his name, that had throw them of the balcony, and now who's desperately in health crisis, so to speak. Every single one of them. So, I just feel like that kind of desperation, and they are trying to find a way to remain, somewhat relevant. It's making them do silly things. But what they seem to think that, as maybe some part of it is because the world thinks that it's okay to do anything they want, anything they please to a person of color, and somehow they can get away with it. Well, I'm here to tell you guys, well, maybe it's so. Maybe you can do whatever you want and get away with it when it comes to someone of color. But that woman of color, I don't think it's one that you're going to be able to touch like that without having the world come down on your back. Please tell me that I'm wrong. And that's why I am so scared. The fact, I'm not scared, but I feel like we need to look at these people, I think Rachel Maddow used to say that, watch what they do, not what they say. Because them coming around and said praising and the everything, even go as far, to put William down, something that we know they're not supposed to do, shouldn't do, they cannot do. Even in that context where that, looked at Harry, a statement, and UN, and then look at, sort of his brother with no one show up, nobody reported, whatever the case is. There is something behind that. That kind of credit, or so-called credit, it's not one that we should praise. We should not look at as the tide is turning. It's them finding a way that maybe if they speak like that, if they talk like that, bring some kind of sensible reporting onto what they say, then maybe we can force Harry to come back without his wife. Or if we're not bashing him and we keep dismissing his wife is the problem, his kid is the problem, then maybe someone out there will see how much desperate their country it needs, and we need somebody like Harry to do that. And the only way we're going to be able to do that is for his wife and his children not to be present. No, I'm serious. It's. I don't want to sort of be a person that I've always like Harry said, and I think Harry said that really, really well. We need to start thinking critical. We need to be able to understand to speak the dialect that these people are talking in the media right now in social media. Because how they able to create situation that cause a lot of pain, anger, frustration, and they're still able to hide behind their desk, their might, and get away with it. Critical thinking. No, I hope I'm wrong in my assessment, but please help me here. I don't want to be the only person speaking here.
Well, no, I think you it's one of those things we were talking about just before the service started, is that there is a desire to be in a celebratory, revel in Harry's successes from this past week in particular, and all of their combined success and the love that they have as a family, to celebrate that. And we should celebrate that, as you were saying, Lady Sussex, but it's also that idea that you can't, it is almost the times like this when people have been pushed to be as in the smallest of corners, where they then become desperate, where you then need to be more vigilant than ever. And to what you said, it's watch what they do, not what they say. And so they've not changed. There's not been substantive changes in actions. While there may be some movement in terms of people in the tabloids or whatever flip-flopping back and forth in terms of how they talk about Harry and Meghan, that to what you've just put forward as something that's really important for everyone in the Sussex squad in particular to pay attention to, is that it's probably, there's a lot more beneath the surface of what is happening than just what is written in the article in and of itself.
And this is where really I truly really have a problem, because even in the aristocrats world right now at this moment, that who own these major big mansion chateaus, sort of those places that they want to hold on for history, which I totally understand, totally support. Many of them are now find themselves on YouTube to support their livelihood, to be able to, repair these buildings. And it's people like me, regular people that says, yes, those things are matter. We're going to help you. They don't have it like they used to do. They don't have the big farm to support these big houses anymore. They don't have the ends of the meat, besides just titles. So I don't even understand why is it that, people are not looking at and see things are changing. This is not the same. So if those aristocrats, they know they already move on to the social media to be supported. So what is it that the royals or the royal order are not getting? It's like to the death. They just, we got to keep trying. We got to keep trying. And I truly believe that, they went to the Hollywood reporter, that paper, what that paper sounds like, to bring this allegation, that nonsense, that's make absolutely nonsense, even if it was the truth. It just make absolutely, they have not been able to prove none of it. And the damage that they are doing to that institution that call media itself. And I feel like, the media here is just finally getting it. But it's sad to say that, they are getting it because when you have Harry talking about $3 trillion, maybe that's why they're finally getting it. And what does that mean for their reporting over there? Because they're coming with nonsense like, oh, why should the king allow Harry to be on TV? That just doesn't make any sense. What do you mean allow him to be on TV? I thought he's not a working royal. So what are you talking about? I thought you guys kick him out. You take his house, you take his securities, You took everything from the man and you said go because somehow you believe that he was not going to be able to make it and he was going to come back crawling. And it hasn't happened and it's not going to happen. At least not in the way that you see it. And this man, they're going to have to listen to what he said. There's no time that he said that, he's not coming back to his country. He loves his country. And he wants his children to be familiar with his country and maybe perhaps even his family. They are desperate. They are desperate. So desperate that we have an prime minister? He used to be a mayor and then turned into prime minister. That was Boris Johnson, correct? And let's play this clip from what's his name again? Tim Wilson. Because sometimes he get it right, sometimes he say the right thing, like Royal Sussex likes to say, and I agree. Come on, let's play that clip.
There's a revelation in Boris Johnson's memoir, Unleashed, apparently, that provides an intriguing glimpse into the behind-the-scenes efforts to prevent Prince Harry and Meghan Markle from stepping back from their royal duties. It appears that Johnson, then freshly victorious from his election win and in the midst of Brexit negotiations, was asked to play an unconventional role in the royal saga as mediator and motivator. The idea of a manly pep talk, as it's described in the front page of the Times today, suggests that those in power believe that a personal, straightforward conversation from one prominent public figure to another could sway Prince Harry's decision. And this reflects a significant misunderstanding of the couple's resolve at that point. Harry and Meghan's departure from their roles was not just a spur-of-the-moment decision, but rather a culmination of months, if not years, of growing discontent with their position within the royal family and the pressures they face from both the media and the institution itself. Last night, for the first time ever, I watched Suits, and I thought it was captivating, and Meghan Markle was captivating. She was very much showcased in that series, and she appears every so often and has a decisive encounter with the main characters. And she is the part is so well written and so well played. I find it extraordinary that the British establishment could have found it so difficult to accommodate her. The fact that Johnson acknowledged the effort as totally hopeless, in retrospect, is telling. It indicates that Harry had already made up his mind, and no amount of persuasion from the Prime Minister could alter the course of action. Johnson's remark about it being a great shame for the UK to lose the couple highlights the broader concern within the establishment. Harry and Meghan were seen as assets to the monarchy and the country, contributing to international goodwill through their charitable work and their modernising influence.
That's the problem the royal rotors, they have. When you have a man like Tim Wilson, who, in my view, in my opinion, I don't know that to be true, that I think about maybe a royalist, speaking that way, to Boris Johnson, for everything we have come to know about this man, when he's talking sense like that and saying that, the kind of missed opportunity that they have, and this is the person that, and what is it about that, talking to him as if like he was a child, men talk him or whatever, the word was phrased. Again, they still try to make this man look smaller than he is. Like we can control him because we have done so for so long, and that we can still have, like, as though his power, it's Meghan only. Like instead of those two people, what they each of them brought into the table, that's what makes them so powerful. Do you understand what I'm saying? And it's that kind of desperation when you see a prime minister now who has a book. The first thing that he put out there to make sure people pay attention to his book and talking about, we are talking about it. It's Harry and Meghan. That is a problem. It's a problem for the royals. It's a problem for the reporters, people that you know what who's keep fitting in those lies, even though they're watching and see their job, their livelihood is just going away, but they're still at it. It's a problem. Hap?
No, I think you nailed it. I mean, that's the thing is, and that we talked about this. Maybe it wasn't last week, of course, but maybe it was the service right before. When you have those who are hardcore royalists, who are much more in favor of the all of the due process that comes with the crown and the monarchy and everything that goes with it, them calling out the missed opportunity, the fact that how the rest of the royal family is behaving badly. I think it was with referring to William, like that they need to pay attention to that because they're the ones who typically should be, putting out the content, the narratives that are generally in support of them. So when it's not, that should really be an alarm bell for them.
Absolutely. The whole, hierarchy, I have to be first, I have to be this. I even hear a story, I don't know how true that is, when it comes to the so-called queen that we have to call her queen now, that lady, that woman, I really know nothing about her. Beside that, I was told to call her queen. This woman, I heard that, she doesn't allow anybody to wear blue, only her can wear blue. I don't know, I hope that's not the case. But I heard that, this has been a problem because that, only her can wear a certain blue. I mean, it could be Will, it could be, who knows? Because again, I don't know anything about this woman. I'm still waiting to find out who is this woman. Who is she? I have absolutely no idea. But the power that she has. I'm just flabbergasting here.
No, it's certainly telling. And, and I think it just kind of, you can summarize it all the way up to what you first kind of talked about in kind of the beginning of this word. They're desperate. These are desperate times, and I think that this is just further evidence as to why they feel that way. You have all these people kind of coming from across, out of the woodwork from across the aisle, saying these kinds of things that are either defending Harry, or they're wishing that Harry was more or less either coming back, or they're trying to congratulate Harry, or they're speaking of him in a positive manner, which is one, something that they believe takes away from William, and two is something they feel they can't control the narrative around because they're kind of just getting out of this kind of this barrier that they've kind of set up and that they're used to playing in. So they are getting desperate because at the end of the day they can't control the narrative of who the royals are supposed to be, and so they're not doing their jobs. They can't do their jobs. And it makes it dangerous for the royals because they are not who they pretend to be.
Yeah, and desperate, sort of, again, for me, I'm seeing what that desperation does, the stupidity that they do, and you wonder how far they can go.
Right.
How far they can go. Because they're doing it right in plain sight in front of everybody. I mean, when you think what it could have been, what they have done during the time that, when the Sussex was, Meghan in particular was there for an award, what they were trying to do, it was literally almost, if not exact, with a different outcome with his mother.
Yeah. Well, I think that's the reason why he knew he had to leave, is simply because he did not want that same outcome. I mean, he knew that's where it was going, and I think that's basically the impetus as to why he wanted to do anything he could to leave. And I think he was exactly right for doing so. And that, by the way, is the manly thing to do. That is what being a husband is
protecting
about.
your family
is about stepping up and then just doing what it takes, no matter how painful or difficult, and protecting your family.
And that's why I'm so happy now that in each of his speeches that he mentioned his kids. He found a way to mention his kids, and we have heard report after report on how during that time that he checked with his wife, the bond that they have.
Well, it's a family decision. It's not unusual. We can't
They are a
pretend.
team.
Yeah, we can't pretend that this is an unusual thing. Like at the end of the day, a family's talking about moving. A family is talking about how they need to actually prepare what their future is going to be. This should not be made in isolation by either party.
This is what I'm saying. The power of the media, the power of what they have been trying to do that doesn't work, is to convince people somehow as though this is not normal.
It is completely normal, and that's why they're trying to. That's why nobody buys it. That's why nobody buys this narrative, is because the things that they're trying to say don't hold water. And I think that's something that we all also have to kind of keep in mind, is that, as crazy as they make us to be, that like we are the sane ones. Like this is normal. Like what our environment and what is being happening here in terms of, how you communicate, how you actually build community, how you actually talk to your spouse and talk about your children. These are normal things. This is how things should be.
Yeah, but I think what the media and these people have been very good. It's make you question yourself. Are you seeing what you're seeing? It's what you think is normal. They're making you question yourself all the time. And they have been very, very good of doing that, making you question yourself and not really sort of for sure knows that, what you are seeing, it's what you're seeing. And what you heard is what you heard.
Yeah, they're doing it just to make excuses about bad behavior on the other side. Like these people are all messed up or whatever.
Yeah, absolutely.
These people are basically all over the place. And so the only way that they can explain their behavior is to say that, okay, well, what you see is actually, or what you think you see basically is normal behavior and everything else is unnormal.
So what everyone is talking on the chat.
Well,
Tell me. I'm coming quickly. Check on mom. Go ahead, please talk to them.
sure. So Lady Sussex just had to go quickly and check on her mother again. So, and then in terms of what's going on the chat, everyone. So yeah.
I mean, I think the funniest thing I've seen is that Black Queen and Church Nelly, you guys are clearly the ones in the back of the church service that are laughing and joking the whole time about wigs. And we're saying that strategically now while Lady Sussex is out of the room so that she doesn't die of laughter again. But that's been a joy to watch this whole time.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Definitely the cut up kids in the back of the pew for sure. So, but, and yes, I mean, I think we agree with everyone else who's more or less kind of chatting about saying, okay, well, understanding, where we're coming from, that, the royals basically just have no place in their heart to have an understanding in terms of, they see Harry in one particular perspective and that's where they want to keep him. They see him as being in this box as this creature they can control. And that's just not reality. It's not reality, whenever he left, certainly, which is probably when he had the least influence. And then now when he's, rising to the top and basically being able to stand on his own, and then Meghan is basically able to support him the way that she can, and they're crushing it, frankly, around the world, certainly they can't control that. And no longer will they ever be able to basically kind of put the reins on him ever again. And I think this is also kind of a desperate, as we get back to it, a desperate plea for, okay, well, look, how can they somehow try and maintain that veil of control and let everyone else think that this is, their control should be something that should be expected.
Yeah, and it's appreciate that bit of humor there, V, in terms of being all over the place in the chat. And that's honestly one of the beautiful things about this is that seeing the community come together and interact. And I don't know, I missed who it was, but someone deciding as a result of Connie Bomber's highlighting of the quality of what they produce over there, someone deciding to go in and have some fondue for the first time today, which I gotta say that part of the conversation has kept me also very hungry throughout this entire service. But on a totally separate note, in terms of being all over the place, we'll match you guys in that regard. The conversation that's been about Detroit's revival, that really is a real thing. And it is amazing to see. And it's actually something that Charles and I talked about quite a bit in the other show that we have, the Planet First Action show, and in the interview with one of the CEOs of New Lab, because they have a location up there and the work that they're doing up there. Part of it is tied to that economic development, the revitalization of the community, the creation of jobs, and bringing back jobs into Detroit that tap into the community's sort of know-how and expertise and experience and history when it comes to mobility. So Detroit, for those who don't know about Detroit's revival and that story, it really is something. It is a real thing that is inspiring. There's some of it, if you want to check out Planet First Action, there's I think it's maybe the second episode that we actually talked a bit about that at the very beginning and talked through the story of how they came to where they are. In a very small fashion. There's obviously a lot that we didn't get into and a lot more detail than we were able to cover. But it is, again, that sort of going back to today's theme and part of that connectivity between all of these different things. It's one of the things that's beautiful to see in the U.S. right now is, and increasingly all over the world, is that recognition that we have to come back to community. And community, in many ways, there are digital communities, some that are impressive, like the Sussex Squad, that are really leading the way in that regard. But a lot of it is also being physically together. Being physically together frequently in cities where most people live these days, and the importance of being able to connect in a meaningful way. And that is that's something that is a story that more should know about. And it's a city that should be highlighted in terms of, those who are really leading the change, leading the future, and building those solutions that we're all going to depend upon.
There's so much is going on, and I'm having like really issues with my mom at the moment, and we're going to have to close the service very shortly. Oh my God, I don't know what she's doing.
So let me just do some quick Bible verses.
Yes, but before we move, how many people we have in the chat?
We have 186 viewers, and we have a number of the amazing squaddies in the chat.
Okay, wonderful. So before we close the service, you guys, first of all, we have this incredible song that we're going to be releasing, and I think you guys are going to love it. I'm hoping that we can do justice to the song that speak on to... Can you please check on my mother?
Yes.
Because she is trying to get off the bed.
She's Mama's on the move.
She is on the move. She wants to get out of the bed, and I don't know why. But anyway, we really, what was I saying? Because I'm looking at the screen right now.
You're talking about all the people we have in the chat.
That's right. We have all these people in the chat. And please, guys, if you are listening to my voice, can you guys please do me a favor to go, and Charles and George, if you love them and you care about them and you want them to be here, let's support them. Let's show them some support that you guys care on the work that they are doing. Please go to their Instagram right this minute, please. I mean, I'm sure you guys can do that while you are listening, to just follow them so they can release incredible pictures, because it will look bad for them to sort of release all those pictures and nobody looking at them. And so please, if you guys can do that, even if it's just 100 of you guys, I know you guys can do it. Let's do that, please, before we close the service. It would be nice, as I'm closing the service, to know that, at least we made it, 100 in there. We could have more, but 100, I think, is bad from 180 of people.
It's true. And while doing that, I think that
should we do a countdown on that?
Well, I'll say this while you've just finished sharing that remark, that I want to say a special thank you to Church Nelly for bringing such levity and humor throughout the entire service. We've been talking about a lot of serious things, some humor here, but to have you balance us out, keep us honest in terms of that laughter. Even the article we brought in, that the one of the only solutions for a stupid seriousness that results in fear and panic and desperation is laughter. So thank you, Church Nelly, for being that stalwart of humor and levity and joy in the community among everyone, especially all of the members as well. And Black Queen saying, where is the link? It should have just gone through in the chat, but we'll drop it in again as well.
You did not put it on the chat?
It's in the chat.
Well, can you make sure that people can see it, please? Because that's important. Because I'm doing a countdown here. What?
It's in the chat.
So why are you shaking your hand to me?
Yeah. No, it's no. The
No,
link's
what's
in
the
chat.
problem?
It's in the chat, and just in case it's easier, it's also a handle. The handle for the Instagram is at Planet First Action, all one word.
Okay, well, can you say that to people so they understand? Can you say it again? Make the case. I mean, we need to see you guys have the Sussex squad, who loves you guys, who's always talking about you guys, to follow you guys and support you guys. And I cannot be the one who keep pushing that. So
Yes, we're up to 9 now, so we've got progress.
you have to talk to them.
It's at Planet First Action on Instagram, and
Don't be shy. Don't be shy.
No, I'm not. No, you know
They
me.
they
I'm
want
never
to
shy.
they want to hear you asking them. Can you please asking them?
Well, yes. Again, for everyone who some people have come in and out. For those of you also who have been listening the whole time, we'll say it again. But really, the work that Charles and I are doing, it really is about how the world is changing, the new technologies that are being built, the new solutions, leaders like Prince Harry, who is someone who's actually inspired us himself in terms of the work that we do today. And it is important for people to know about the changes that are coming, but also to be able to see who those leaders are that we should be paying attention to. And so that is the nature of the work of Planet First Action as a whole. There's a YouTube show that you can go and check out. We'll include the link as well there. There'll be coverage on Twitter, but what we've been focusing on and talking about today is that there's a ton of content. There's a ton of pictures, a ton of the leaders from the UN over this past week, and would love to just share them with the world. And so we'd love to just get some more of the community, and especially the Sussex Squad, who are passionate advocates of change, especially across boundaries through this sort of digital community, to get on there and be able to support it. So we asked for that support, and we appreciate anything that you all share through in that regard. And again, it's at Planet First Action in terms of the handle, and I will put the link one more time in the chat here.
I would love to see those numbers up before we say our goodbyes and sign off into our prayers. It would be really nice to see those numbers, because I mean, it's in the works you guys are doing. It's no different than really. It's that kind of support that Harry and Meghan need, because it cannot be just them. And so to you guys to be a part of that coalition, to do the work that you guys are doing, being advocate to that work, it's important. And that's why it's important to have the support, because it's allowed you guys one step closer, hopefully, to get an interview with Prince Harry. And I believe that going to happen. It will happen in a very near future. So we are going to advocate for that. I think we can do it. If you guys was very, very, very close. So we need to continue pushing the ball forward. We need to tell our own stories, and we need to tell the story of Prince Harry in a way that, most people probably never heard it before. And we are going to get that. Mark my word, we will be interviewing Prince Harry, whether it's here, whether it's in Africa, whether it's in LA. We will be interviewing Prince Harry. It will come.
It's coming.
Neil, it's
We're
coming.
going to make it happen. And
We will make it happen.
And thank you to people like Yolanda and everyone else who's subscribed and got us now up. We went from 1 at the start of the service. We're now up to 11. And also appreciate the few squaddies that have shared that they're not on Instagram and they don't want to go down the rabbit hole. We also can totally understand and appreciate that as well. But thank you again for everyone's support. And I guess as a last time, in terms of the name itself, the Instagram handle is at Planet First Action.
First Action. So if you want to see those really high handsome, they are. If you have not seen, wow, oh my God, those pictures are incredible. So here we go. So let's move to verse, guy, please, because
Sure. Yeah, we need to. Mama's
this
moving.
is another marathon.
Yeah, Mama's moving. So, okay, so the first verse actually is about grace. And it is Luke chapter 6, verses 38. Give, and it will be given to you. Good measure, pressed down, shaken together, runneth over, and it will be into your lap. For with the measure you will use it, it will be measured back to you.
That's right. That's why with that grace, with the work we know Harry is doing and the work we are doing here, we are putting it in the universe that we will have an interview with Prince Harry. Now, I don't know if we can get Princess Meghan. I'm not going that far yet. I will hope so, but we will. One way, shape, or form. We will. I'm putting it in the universe.
We'll put it out there. There you go.
That's right.
You don't get what you don't ask for, right?
Amen.
So, okay,
Hallelujah.
so for the last verse that I have is about asking for help. And we say this for all the people in the Southeast United States who are being really overwhelmed with the water and floods that the hurricane has produced. And this is John chapter 15, verse 16. You did not choose me, but I chose you and appointed you that you should go and bear fruit, and that fruit should abide, so that whenever you ask the Father in my name, he may give it to you. So please do your best to ask for that, pray for that, and it will be provided.
Amen. And
with that, we will move to prayer. And there's a lot to pray for, but in that spirit of we've put you all through a marathon today, and in light of all of the things that we are still contemplating from this past week, I think the way I want to start off the prayer, and maybe I'll leave it to Lady Sussex to add anything else that she really wants to highlight, in addition to all of our usual prayers for Prince Harry, Princess Meghan, their family, including those who we know who need our prayer, who maybe not seen sort of the truth yet and are focused on service, all of them as well, but for today, to actually use something that C. McGee 28029 put in the chat, which is a prayer for peace, health, and favor to all of the Sussex Squad, known and unknown. Blessings for allowing that righteous indignation to push you to the worldwide coalition to stand against the forces of evil and darkness, in addition to supporting Harry and Meghan. I think that was brilliantly put.
amen. And as I always do, extend my prayer. But I was thinking about how should I look at this moment? What should I pray for? And all I can think of what comes in my mind is gratitude. Gratitude, because where we are right now, it's remember those words that when God tells us, please go tell it in the mountain, over the hills, and everywhere. And for me, that I'm alive. I am the Lord. In Congress, the White House, and yes, we have arrived in the UN. And we have to look at this moment and asking ourselves whether you believe in the Christ Jesus Lord or not. Whatever it is that you believe on, that spirit, our maker, it's alive. And it's functioned in a way that I never thought that I would be a part of, that angels that out there moving things forward. When you think the pressure, what these people were trying to do to Harry and Meghan, and God sent his angels in the shape of Tina and Michelle, Special K Tot, Miss V, Miss Sharon, My Duke and I, Duchess of Success, Claire Ivy from Global UK, Baron from the Royal Sussex, Fax into Sin, Dre, Duchess Like Us, Lady Rose, Sussex Love, Anne Boleyn, Farrell, James O'Brien, Global Sussex from TikTok, YouTube, to podcast, broadcast. Generation is making their voice heard. And it's all possible because this is how God works. This is how God works. No, you're not going to be able to destroy my kids, my child. You're not going to be able to destroy my work. Go tell it in the mountain, I am alive. And guess what? They finally get it. They're finally listening. This generation had found two of his leaders, Harry and Meghan. When you hear Vanity Fair headline, Prince Harry transitioned from working royals to global advocate and now complete, says it all. Go tell it in the mountain that I'm alive. Nothing is broken. Nothing is missing. We are reigning in Christ. We are changing the level, moving forward, and making progress. And yes, we are seeking first the kingdom. Thank you, God. So I said, as we're leaving, we will normally say goodbye. We normally say see you next Sunday. But I will leave you guys. Good morning, future. Good morning, hope. Good morning, love. Because love wins. May God bless you all. Happy Sunday. And we will have an incredible song for you this afternoon. And I hope you watch it. I hope you guys worship with us. Because yes, we are going to the mountain. We are going to shout out. This generation have found one of their leaders, their two leaders, Harry and Meghan. And we're going to push them. We're going to move forward. We're going to protect them. We are going to be in the front line, watching, praying, and standing up and saying, not in our name. Happy Sunday, guys. May God bless you. Good day.